Oh, hey there. You're probably looking outside going, I want to get the hell out of here.
You probably are.
And you should. You should go on vacation. Treat yourself, especially before the playoffs. You don't want to miss those.
Indeed.
But the thing is, roaming charges could be holding you back, and we don't want them to anymore. Saily, backed by Nord Security, not only does it protect you from like weird public Wi-Fi's and that sort of thing that you run into in other countries, but it protects you from your own cell phone provider because you can buy plans in 160 countries in 8 different regions, and your cell phone provider can't jack your rates and charge you like $300 one month when it's supposed to be like $100. It costs them little to nothing. But hey, if there's no way else around it, we've asked our politicians, we've asked people in power. It took Saily to come in and do it for you.
Especially when your cell phone provider's in their dark era. And you want to circumvent that,
Their dark area?
Their dark era?
Yeah, you're in the museum and you're like, oh, look at that painting. I think my cell phone provider's in that dark area.
It's a masterpiece. So anyway, check out Saily. And we want to give you a 15% discount just to show you how great it is. Again, it's backed by Nord Security. This is something that actually Tim Haraney on our Nailing the Apex show uses when he's on the road because he's in a million different countries throughout the year. And it's really easy for him to protect his information because he's had some leaks before. So try this, okay? Go to saily.com/dangle. That is SAILY.com/dangle or download the Saily app, SAILY. And then in your app store, if you use the promo code DANGLE at checkout, you're going to get 15% off with Saily. Let's start the show.
SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
I guess Jesse didn't get the quarter zip memo.
I did not.
Wow.
Nope.
What a dork.
Nope.
Although I'm a quarter button.
You're quarter button, yeah.
Yeah, there's no zip on Steve, so he didn't get the memo either. So. It's only
He
Adam.
does have a quarter zip. He does.
It's not. There's no zip on it.
No, but he does own one. He just didn't wear it.
Yeah, I own one too.
Yeah. You know what?
What?
Maybe we need to institute a monthly quarter zip day.
Ooh.
We used to have blue short. No, what is it? Blue shirt and khaki shorts day.
Yeah,
Yes.
khaki shorts, yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
We need to have our...
Maddie's like, ew, what?
Why not? No, the reason...
Maddie, we got to show off the gams,
Yeah. Come on. What? Listen, the people want what Adam and I provide.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know?
Just no fashion and complete uniformity.
Just our the quarter zip or quarter button. We were assigned in the hospital when our kids were born.
That's right. As a dad,
Yes.
you must.
Blue shirt and khaki shorts day is May 26th.
Okay, we're not missing that again. We've missed that for like 8 years. How did you look that up, by the way?
No, I put in my calendar, and so
It's still in your
comes-
calendar?
Unbelievable.
Always comes up every year.
You're the best.
As a
What a
holiday.
producer.
You're the
Always
best.
I've had it for whatever we started it. It's just you just hit like a holiday.
I know, but it's crazy that you didn't look at that one May 26th throughout the years and went, you know what? We're probably never doing this again.
Why would I do that?
Nope.
It's not taking up any room anywhere.
There you go.
That's unhinged.
Digital calendar. Write things down. It'll be good for you.
I just
like
wanna-
writing down when Tuesdays are and Wednesdays are.
Oh, Adam.
I know.
Adam.
I was going to go into that.
Adam.
Listen, I'll
How?
talk about this in a second. But yeah,
Okay.
listen, February 12th happens to be a Wednesday.
Ugh.
A-holes, okay?
Oh.
All right? I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's American.
The A stands for actually correct.
Yeah, there you go. That's good save.
I did see all the comments. I did see all the tweets. And I thought, God, only me. Only me. So it's Wednesday, February 12th at Stouffville Boston Pizza. It's the bomb there.
Are you sure?
Canada versus Sweden will be playing later on that night, but we got a live show beforehand.
Yeah.
Right? So 6:30 live show. Canada plays Sweden. We're going to be hanging out along with you. And here's the great thing. Molson Canadian, the official hockey beer and partner of the Toronto Maple Leafs and PWHL, they've got this little special going on. Okay, so every time you order a Molson, they will give you a chance to call the shot where you get to make score predictions for your chance at $40,000 worth of prizing. So you get a PIN code, you score points to win VIP hockey trips, game tickets, gift cards, and more. Call the shot can be played at Boston Pizza restaurants across the country.
Yanni Hockenpah, bet. Right there.
You think he's going to play?
No.
You don't think he's going to play?
Actually, I kind of do.
I actually kind of do too. We could talk about that. But
Sure.
Anyway, Molson Canadian wants to bring everyone in on hockey, and we want to bring everyone in on BP Stouffville. So come join us Wednesday And by the way, I just want you guys to know that I look at this sheet that we have, okay? I have a sheet of notes where I do.
It's organized.
On this sheet, gentlemen, I didn't write it. At the very top, what does it say?
Adam's gonna fuck the date up anyway, so just do it.
Just
twice.
read it.
Tuesday, February 12th, 2024. Wait,
That's incorrect.
the year is wrong.
Yes. And so is the date. So I just want you to understand that when I do these, it's a little Ron Burgundy and a little bit of flour. Like we put some flourish in
All
there
right,
too.
just show up 11 months ago.
Okay. I just want you to understand. I just want you guys to understand
Yeah.
it was coming from an honest place. I am
February
Ron Burgundy.
12th was a Tuesday in 2024.
So whoever did this was like,
yeah.
oh, that's a good point, Jess.
Right?
All right.
So
Adam,
I guess that's where the mistake
Can I
comes
get a
from,
little bit
guess?
back? A little bit
no.
of credit back?
You're a
No, you
dumb-
don't get credit
dumb
for being
donkey.
Ron Burgundy.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, fine. The other
Dumb
thing
donkey.
I want to talk to you about
What?
is this weekend, Alan and I and Jesse are heading down to London, Ontario to speak at the Ivy School of Business. I am not. People are like, oh, congrats to you for speaking at the Ivy School. I'm like, I'm not. I'm helping Alan speak at the Ivy School of Business. If they ever have a conference on how to be a turkey on the air, that's me. But Alan, along with a huge list of people in sports business across the country, there's like a whole thing. Tim Haraney is going to be there talking about Formula One, which is cool. So he's going to be doing that tomorrow. That's why we're doing the show today, because we got to travel down. Jesse, are you going down Friday or are you going down Saturday?
No, I'll be there to watch Tim.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
I wouldn't ever miss that.
Not Adam.
That's the biggest event of
I'm
the
going
year.
to be there.
Tim. No.
No, no,
He's there to watch
I'm
Tim.
there to watch Adam.
I thought Tim
there
was
to watch
next
Tim.
Tuesday.
He's there to watch Tim.
No, the
Tim and only
the
Tim.
speakers list is really cool. Maddie, if you want to pull it up. Pinballs speaking, which is awesome. I find this fascinating. Like, if you're interested in Canada soccer and you've been following that drama that happened at the Olympics over the summer
Why
and
would
everything with Soccer Canada, we're getting Kevin Blue, the CEO, Jesse Marsh, the head coach, and Phil King, the chief business officer of MLSE, but he's not relevant in this conversation because we're getting two of the main people at play at Canada Soccer. So I don't know if there's gonna be news coming out of that.
I would love
but
to know.
It's
Hey,
gonna be a good watch.
Did you notice how quickly, by the way, TFC moved on from their head coach after that incident? They were like, yeah, you can leave. Bye. See ya. And he was one of the most popular people in Canada. And he's just disappeared. Yeah, there I am.
Now, the main event.
That picture's old. That's what
Adam, how old are you in that photo?
I got to be 21, 22 in that photo. They took that from LinkedIn. I got to change my LinkedIn.
So if you'll see 2025 speakers, we got a lot of important people. Golf Canada CEO, as I mentioned, the chief business officer of MLSE.
So one thing there quickly. First off,
yeah.
John Chayka,
Yes.
former GM of the Coyotes.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Oh, sorry.
John Chayka.
Sorry, Phil King was one of the builders of TSN.
Jesse, just you take the day off.
All right, you go.
Don't worry about
I
it.
just thought it was worth mentioning it. Like, you're like, oh, who's Phil King? Well, he built one of your favorite.
Adam, I'm just gonna. You're not gonna like this, but you really pulled a me there.
I did.
All right, and then
Tuesday.
So we're getting to Adam. There's Adam, right there.
See,
How-
there's
how
the
old are
logo.
Speaker.
How old are you?
That 21 or 22.
Why did they use this photo?
That is my LinkedIn photo. And I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
They might have emailed me and asked for a photo, and I just never emailed them back.
Because Alan looks like Alan in his photo.
Yeah.
Alan looks like modern Alan.
Yeah, I'm gonna show up there. I'm gonna be like, are you related?
This is 10 years ago.
Oh, easily 15, I think.
Oh, my God.
Wow, I'm 36, man. I'm gonna be 37 this year.
And how old were you here?
21, 22. I was doing that's a Virgin Radio shot. Yeah. Virgin Radio, the
first
original.
time.
The first time.
Yeah,
That's probably
yeah.
2009, 2010.
Oh my, 15
Adam,
years ago.
yeah.
Adam.
But I look
like,
good, right?
This is like pre-Crosby gold medal goal.
Yeah. Like, I look hot. I look
It's-
hot.
I mean, ravishing, man.
It's just not accurate.
Well,
No.
okay. But like, this isn't
Adam's
a
like
dating.
hurtful.
It's not a dating profile. It's not like you can't find video of me elsewhere.
no, but people who don't know you are going
Are
to be
you-
flipping through their program like, who the fuck is
Steve,
this?
quick question.
Yeah.
Is Adam catfishing the Ivy Business School?
You know,
Is Adam a catfish?
I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed that they don't get to see someone so thoroughly boy band hot.
Yeah.
They got to see.
Can you do the face? Maddie, no, Maddie. Put them next to each other and then Adam do the face.
That was the meanest transition of all time.
Other way. Other head.
Oh, other head?
No, your head was the wrong way.
Is it this way?
That's what I was trying to say. Adam's head was the wrong way. Yeah.
Is it
sorry.
this way?
The tilt. No, the tilt is backward. There you go. There.
Adam, can you mew? Can you give us a good mew?
That's good.
Look at that.
All right.
Hot.
Move on.
All right.
Two quick things. If you scroll up just a little, Paul Jones is an excellent storyteller.
Sorry, that's Tim Horan.
not Paul
Also,
Jones.
Tim, that's an older photo of Tim, too.
Nah.
Tim does not have highlights like that anymore.
That is a LinkedIn photo, though.
Yeah, for sure. Tim does not frost his tips anymore, okay?
He should. He should. Bring it back, Tim. Come on, time. Bring it back.
That's not recent.
Yeah. The guy next to him looks like he was just arrested. Yeah. Jeff Payne, senior director. He does. Look.
Are you gonna tell him when you see him?
Yeah, I'm
you
gonna be like,
should.
hey, man, what's with that photo? It's weird. And he's going to be like, you're one to talk. And I'm going to be like, true. Fam, true.
We're getting Blue Jays people. Alex Wong, who is the VP strategy and analytics, and then VP of fan experience and concessions.
Ooh.
Michelle.
Yeah, Paul Jones, good storyteller. And up at the very top, if you've never seen Pinball Clemens speak in person, you are in for a friggin' treat.
You want to run through a wall after.
That guy, he was he did a speech at the Conn Smythe Gala, raising money for Easter seals. And like, he like gets you happy and smiling. And then by the end of it, people are just in tears, dumping their wallets and purses upside down on the table.
Yeah.
Like,
Has he been given
he's
the order?
unbelievable.
He must have been given the Order of Canada at this point, right?
He should have.
If he hasn't, he should.
There was a time, and it might still be that time, where he could have run for mayor and won easily.
Of Toronto.
Toronto.
Yeah, but why the hell would you want to be mayor?
Yeah, you don't
I
want
don't
that
know.
job.
He probably
Like,
couldn't
yeah.
take a pay cut. He couldn't
That's
take
true.
a pay cut.
Yeah, I feel like he has done so much for this country. Every time he came into BT too, I remember he was just like, everybody's like, well, pinball's here and we don't have to work that hard in the segment because he's
Yes.
gonna crush it. He'll be the highlight of the show.
Yes,
You'd be like,
yes.
you ask Pinball 2 questions and he goes and he takes it and everybody's like, wow, that was beautiful. And you're like, wow, I did no work.
And he
It's great.
begins with yes.
Yeah. So listen, let's get into the show. And I do want to start with the Leafs, unlike yesterday. And it's not specifically to complain about what happened last night, although I do have my complaints.
Sure.
I want to start first with a complaint that Austin Matthews has for the city of Toronto. Now, this is a ongoing complaint. Last night, though, there are times where I think it's been unfair. Last night, I think he actually had a really good point. Jesse, would you go ahead and play it?
It was great. It was great. Obviously, I mean, that's still a big part of the game, and he's a big part of this team. And you love to see that. Would like a little more energy. From the crowd after that, I thought it was a little quiet tonight, especially after a guy, two guys like that go at it. But it was, I think, a great moment for him. Gave us some energy on the bench, and obviously, he's been looking for one for a while. So we got to give kudos to the guy on the other side as well.
So he's referring to the Ryan Reeves fight. Ryan Reeves' first fight, and obviously Olivier too. And it was a really good fight. It appeared this morning on First Take. Stephen A. Smith was a big fan.
That's crazy.
And I think Austin has a really, really good point. Like when Joe Bowen was upset about how Leaf fans sounded in the playoffs last year, I kind of went after him a little bit on that take because I thought, okay, this is a team that has perennially not come through. I can't blame Toronto fans for being anxious. Also, those tickets are, in the lower bowl are like $15,000 in the first round. Like they're insane.
I mean, we always joke about weeknight games against Columbus.
Right.
It doesn't help that the Leafs are probably losing.
Well,
The Columbus has their number.
but let's keep it to the crowd for a second.
No,
Because I agree
know.
with you.
I know.
I agree. They suck against Columbus.
It's the strangest thing.
Even when they're good, they're bad. But Jesse, you're in there. Is that in the moment what the press box is saying too?
No, I don't think our attention wasn't on the crowd. There's so many different ways you can go with this conversation because you start off with, if we want to start from the end of Austin saying that in the scrum, it came as a surprise to all of us there. I'm standing off to the right on the screen there. I'm standing there recording the audio, and that's fun stuff. And nobody expected it because you lost 5-1. It's odd for Austin to speak out on such a pointed issue about the fans in the crowd. So that was odd because we afterwards were all like, okay, tomorrow on 10:50 and 5:90 in the morning, it's going to be Crowdgate. Like we have the story for the next morning. This is what's going to blow up, and you see overnight on Twitter, it's all anybody's talking about.
The second he walked away, did you guys do all the journalists looking at each other thing?
So we waited.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Morgan came out right after, and then we got McCabe and Hildeby and all the guys, and then Berube did that. And then after Berube speaking, they were all done. We were like, that's really odd for Austin to just go there. So then you start thinking like, okay, why did he do that? And you kind of be like, okay, Reeves didn't speak. So is that
I was surprised.
Is that how Reeves felt in the moment where he has this big fight and the crowd didn't react in the way that I think a crowd that was paying more attention and was more knowledgeable about the background of that fight would have reacted? Because I think
Sorry. No, you go ahead.
I think Reeves expected in that moment, I'm going to throw my hands up. There's going to be a round of applause from the crowd.
Yeah.
And it's going to be this big galvanizing moment for my first fight of the year because it's been building to this.
After schmucks like us talking about like, get him off the team.
Yeah, we've been edging this fight all season long. And finally, we got to the fight. So Reeves has this giant pop, and the crowd doesn't respond in that way. So I wonder if at some point from the fight through to when Austin is speaking, he voiced that displeasure.
Sure.
Or if Austin himself just noticed it and he genuinely did that from his perspective.
It's a great way also to distract from the fact that they lost.
Yeah, and he's the captain.
Yep.
So
Yes.
if the
It
team
matters.
is feeling that, or if Reeves himself is feeling that way, the captain's job is to go out there and say something, but not directly like, hey, Reeves felt this way. No, he took that burden on him. So I think it was smart. If that's what happened, I'm making assumptions here. If that's what happened as a captain, that was a really smart play there.
I think there's two things there. Number one, I thought that was Matthew's coming out party as Leafs captain in a way, and I want to park that and get back to that in a second. The other is I don't think most fans, and I'm not trying to be hipster about this, but because Matthew Olivier plays in Columbus, I don't think a lot of fans understood what they were watching.
It's a heavyweight championship fight.
Matthew Olivier is what you think Matt Rempe is.
Yeah, because he can actually fight. Matt Rempe
Dude,
can't.
Matt
Rempe's the worst fighter in the league.
is a charismatic, tough nut, really young. He scored a hell of a goal the other day. I was like, where the hell did that come from? Charismatic, tough nut, will fight anybody, any day, probably lose. Matthew Olivier will fight anybody in the league and probably beat their ass.
Like, who do you take, Arbor Xhekaj or Matthew?
Matthew Olivier. They fought twice this year.
Michael Pezzetta or
Matthew Olivier. And put any name in front of me, it's Matthew Olivier. That guy's a problem. Guy's an enormous problem, has double-digit goals, plays on the penalty kill, wears a letter. He is a lot of people's like wet dream of what you think the perfect player is, or perfect third liner or grinder or whatever it is. So the second I see play stop and the camera shift, I have that split second to be like, is it? And then I see it's Reeves and Olivier, and I got off the couch. I was watching with my 4-year-old who was like, "Oh, there's a fight," and then it's the biggest slobber knocker I've ever seen. I'm like, "Oh shit, gonna have to explain this one."
And I felt that it fought to a draw. I felt they both.
Oh yeah, they did well. When Reeves went down early, I went, "Oh fuck!"
But the refs let him keep going, so it's good.
Yeah, thank goodness. Yeah. And then oh no, depending on who you ask. But like it ended up being a Reeves still has it moment. I thought it was spectacular and unbelievable, and it lived up to everyone's highest expectations. And the reaction, like, dude, that's got to be a Metallica concert in there after that.
Yeah.
That is sheriff versus sheriff. That is the toughest guy in the NHL, probably on and off for the last decade, fighting the new toughest guy in the NHL.
The next decade.
So you have
the next decade.
You have the Matthew side of it with that, And then that's like, okay, so we go to why wasn't there that pop? And then we go back to the same issues that Scotiabank Arena has faced forever and will face forever. And it's the ticket prices, and the fans who want to be there are up in the 300s or at home watching it on TV. And like
the fans who want to be there are once every 3 years.
Exactly. And like
Maple Leaf Square doesn't look anything like the inside of that building.
No, the people who watch it for free in the cold, when it's still cold in April and we're in the playoffs, like those people can't get in. And then you have like the Scotia Club is great. Yeah. And they've built such a fantastic. If you're not worth millions of dollars like Adam Wilde, you don't know about like the underbelly of the event level of Scotiabank Arena, where there's so many restaurants and clubs now, and that takes people out of their seats because everybody who's sitting in the restaurants inside Scotiabank Arena has a seat in the lower bowl as well. Yeah. So they're not in their seat for the game.
Stuff like that pays Austin Matthews' salary.
Exactly.
Which is
and it's
valid.
So there's so much conversation out of this. That's why I was like, this is the news cycle for the next 24 hours, because you can talk about this in so many different ways.
And instead, we haven't even mentioned Dennis Hildeby's name.
Yeah, right. we'll get there. We'll get there.
But go ahead.
Anecdotally, I've had the opportunity to both work for MLSE and
own it
and own a piece of it. Me and Ed. No. Work for it. When I remember I used to do I did some Leafs TV stuff, right?
Adam, how could I forget?
And Steve, you did Leafs TV stuff. So
I did.
About a half decade apart.
Adam and I have both collected MLSE checks.
That's right.
Sparingly, because they didn't pay well.
Well, they don't pay well. They don't because like any sports organization, they're like, everybody wants to work here, and it's a great stepping stone. Unless you're at the executive level, and I think they do okay.
I had a check bounce. We've talked about that.
Yeah, we have. But amazing people like work there, like really talented. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
I loved working at Leafs TV. It was so much fun. But the thing about it, when you're doing business deals there, and that is what it is used for. You know, you have to imagine that anybody that you know in your family, maybe you've got somebody who works in finance or somebody who's in law, and they're working on Bay Street. Those are the people that buy those tickets, that buy those suites. And Jesse makes a good point. There's not just box seats around the thing. There's suites underneath the platinum section, and lots of them. And they kind of look like mini conference rooms. And then there's 5-star restaurants underneath. Now, the players get to benefit from that. So when you bring a free agent through, after morning skate, all the players go to the 5-star restaurant and order whatever the hell they want. And it just gets served to them, and it's free. So I've seen them come off of morning skate.
Out.
Huh?
I almost wonder if that freaks players out.
Why?
Like, well, just because, like, you know, you get used to one thing, and then you walk in, and there's like a club.
Well, I've been
and
to
you're like,
that.
what the fuck is this?
Drake's got that club in there, and I've been to that club, and it's funny. One time I was there for a Raptors game, and this is when the Raptors were good, not championship run good, but they were good, and I had to do a business thing there, and the person we were working with was so interested in being at the club that we spent the entire night at the club and never went to our seats.
Mm-hmm. That's like, it's not a majority, but there are a significant amount of people who go to games and don't go to their seat.
That's right.
Or they'll show up, like you'll see it, like you can, because where I'm sitting, I can see the whole bowl, and where I'm sitting, you can see things fill in come like midway through the third.
Right.
You know, like there'll be seats that are empty all game, but they're in the building. They're just not at their seats. And then eventually when the game's tight, it's 1-1 in the third, you'll see somebody get in their seat.
And if, you know, you go to games all the time, this is part of the reason why I like Leaf games being a treat, you know, when I go and get to sit in the seats. If you go to them all the time and you're entertaining a client and all they want to do is hang out somewhere else in the building, go ahead. You missed this game.
Yeah.
It's a Wednesday against Columbus. I don't give a shit.
But, Adam, there's the but.
The but?
How do we afford $13 million for Austin Matthews?
Well, exactly.
14,
or
15.
$40 million for Scotty Barnes, right? You got to remember that factors in.
Yeah.
And because that's what, isn't Scotty making like
Adam,
40 or something like that?
You didn't say it right. Scotty Barnes. You got to say it like Darko every time you say it. Every time you say it, you got to say it like Darko.
You know, and it's not that the Leafs couldn't based on just television revenue, but you have to remember all the accoutrements that come with playing with MLSE. So the Leafs have a cap. They have a cap. They can spend what everybody else can. But where you don't have a cap is management, analytics, medical staff, flights, all that shit. Mm-hmm. The Leafs can go, you know what? Listen, maybe we pay you the same as other market, and maybe Other market is a tax-free state. But here's how we can compete with you. Other market's going to put you on a cheap, shitty plane. We're going to put you first class on our plane. Like we have a couple of those. We have, and also the executives have their own private plane. That's how they flew Mike Babcock.
Yeah, we flew in it.
Well, that was different. That's the team plane. You're talking about the executive plane that's smaller and more Learjet.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, and so.
Oh, they have more than one plane.
But I've always thought, and I think they've tried this a little with the next gen game, that there is a way to do this to change things up. The first thing is the next time they go and build an arena, why do we cap our arenas at 18,000? Because most markets, that's all that they can accommodate. In Toronto, if you went to 22, you'd sell out every game still. They'd make more money, and you add another ring,
a little less.
You add another fan ring,
flat.
And maybe it's far away, but I think you bring more fans in the building. The other thing that TFC does, and I understand that's not a premium ticket in the same way. I get it. TFC has their fan supporter section. It's behind home goal, right? Those guys pay it's not an expensive ticket. They all have season seats, but it's not in the same way. The TFC, MLSE was really smart. Early on, they cut a deal with these guys and they said, listen, you come in, you behave, we'll let you shoot your flares off, you bring your drums, you tailgate in the parking lot, you do all the things, you create the environment, we'll give you the discount to do it. They know the capos of all the heads of those, because they literally call them capos. They know the capos of all the heads of those groups. If anybody gets out of line, they go to the capo and go, what happened here? Not going to happen again. Otherwise, we're banning you. Yeah. That's how they keep control of it. Yeah. But that brings the environment. And if you took one section or two and you put them together in that lower bowl and you did the same thing, my bet is you make pretty much the same amount of money, but the noise goes up huge. And there has to be a desire from the business side of the business, good luck, to do that. But I think you can do it. I think you can absolutely do it.
It's interesting that we're like, could Toronto support a second NHL team? Now Brian Burke has been adamant that no, you can't.
I think he's wrong.
I think he's wrong too.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what his biases there are.
I think you could just make the arena bigger.
But, could they or couldn't they? Well, yeah, but would it even do well? But I think we're all in agreement that 22,000 could easily be supported.
Yes, absolutely
be supported. So that is a fascinating thought. I hadn't really thought of that.
If you had like a renovation and you just added an extra ring and the fans are up in the 500s, and that's far.
Sure.
But if they're loud and it's bouncing off the roof, it gets loud in there awful fast, doesn't it?
Yes, and I think it's infectious.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like Nashville, we keep talking about, it was a Stanley Cup final, so that is a skewed experience, but the roof is directly above your eyebrows. If you're sitting up high, you are like, if you have a fear of heights, I don't know how you sit in the 300s.
You pay more money, I think, is what you do. You pay for your fear of heights.
Yeah, honestly.
and don't go up there.
Do you want to feel like you're going to die the whole game? Or
that's how it feels sitting in the 500s at the Jays. And people will be like, oh, it could never work for the Leafs. Who's more popular, the Leafs or the Jays? That's the Leafs. Mm-hmm. And the Jays have a stadium still now. They have double the games at home.
Yep.
It was 55. It's now 45, I think, with the renovations.
Yeah, I think it might be less even.
Or even 42.
Yeah.
But it's 42,000. Mm-hmm. And I know the tickets are cheaper, but do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it is completely possible. By the way, the Toronto Blue Jays used to lead the league regularly in home attendance. 39,000. So they got 15,000 seats out of there. That's nuts.
You got to be good.
Yeah, you got to be good. But I think with the Leafs, they are going to be good for a long time. They've got a good sustainable business model. They've got superstars. Yeah. You can do this. Now, oh, sorry.
Well, so I want to say I understand where Matthew's frustration is coming from. Mm-hmm. I think any Leaf fan who pretends they don't isn't looking themselves in the mirror about this.
Yep.
Like I was saying, just again anecdotally, like Curtis from Alberta did a skit about this recently. Hockey Illuminati did this recently, and this is like TikTok and Instagram circles and everything. But like any conversation you have with a cousin or uncle or anybody is, geez, that building is a morgue. And there are some days where it definitely deserves to be. That wasn't a situation where it deserved to be. And I'm self-aware enough to be like, okay, I talk about the Leafs after every game, sometimes more than once. There are days like today where I do the LFR and it's like 20 minutes. And then I get on my hour and a half podcast with my friend and we talk about it for another 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever. If I'm Matthews, if I'm on the Leafs, I'm a little frustrated with the fans right now. Even if I can understand where their frustration is coming from. They won 5 straight games. But yes, I know I hammered them during this streak. Just stay with me here. They won 5 straight games. Then they lose 3 straight. And during that 3-game losing streak, they got booed off their home ice twice. Then they win another 3 straight. Then arguably fight of the year happens right in front of you on home ice. You can't ask for a bigger advantage. Like, what a favor Olivier did Reeves.
Yep.
Because if the fight is a tie, tiebreaker goes to the home player because you get the home crowd pop, right?
Yeah. Yep.
To me. So you get the favor there. The fans respond with a pretty milquetoast reaction.
Well, it's because most of them were Fantillis. I just want to throw that out there.
That is
They
fair.
weren't
Yeah.
fans, they were Fantillis.
That is, yeah, half the stadium was Fantillis and Del Belbalouzas.
That's right.
Just
Big night for Woodbridge.
Oh
as
my
Frankie Corrado said.
God. Maple, Vaughn, stand up. Unbelievable night for the eye ties.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe when Columbus comes to town, there's just too many Ontario-born players on that team, and that's what sucks the energy out. But it was a milquetoast reaction to that fight, and even there were a few failed entries on the power play, which has been so hot recently. Like, I know on the season they've been disappointing. The power play has been legitimately hot.
It has.
Recently. And they failed a couple entries, and you hear like, boo.
Well, because we haven't had a chance to react to the fact that it's actually working.
Yeah, well, I just think if you're the Leafs, you understand Leaf fans' frustration with the crest, but you're like, Jesus, you're impossible to please. Which, listen, I'm self-aware. I get it. I understand where the frustration
We're not impossible to
is coming from.
please. Give me a second and a third round.
I was hammering them when they were down 3-0 to Montreal. You know why? They were down 3-0 to Montreal and looked like shit. But
against Columbus, they didn't, right?
No,
They looked good.
And that one's frustrating because they were legitimately the better team all night. They got goalied at both ends.
Yeah. And we'll hit that.
We can talk about the game after. But
Yeah.
You know, the crowds.
But I get it, Steve. Like, I think you listen, you can't be in a city and not be, as an athlete, frustrated with the fans at some point, right? Yeah. Like, it's almost like you go back to Gladiator 1. I haven't seen the second one. And you go like, are you not entertained? Right. And so I get it. And I think Matthew saying that and bringing it back to that, this is why it's so key that he's the captain. Because if he says that and he's not, there's just a little less punch to it.
Yeah.
But this is his team. And Tavares would never say something like that. It's not in his personality. That's not a criticism. That's just not John. And I think Matthew saying that, I think you made a great point when you said, I think it's partially his coming out party as captain. This is him.
He hasn't had a defining moment as captain.
And if this continues, and he says it again, I think you're going to see fans react in a positive way. Meaning, I think he should lean on us a little bit and go, "Hey, come on, guys."
Yeah.
I like that this is making headlines.
Yeah. I also look at other situations in pro sports, and I look at MLSE and I say, Matthew, some of your complaints are to your bosses. Because if you want it to be that way, you can create that atmosphere. And it was put into concept by Steve Ballmer, who owns the Los Angeles Clippers. He was a tenant in the Staples Center, Crypto.com Arena, whatever they're calling it now, Staples Center in Los Angeles with the Lakers. And he wanted to build his own arena, so he bought one. He bought the building next door to it because he wasn't allowed to build there. And they said, no, the building, you can't build here because there's an arena already there. So he bought that one and then built his own arena next to it. And it's the Intuit Dome, and this is its first year. And he created it for the fan experience, not for the suits who are paying the expensive, buying the expensive tickets. He made it so Everybody's in their seat all the time. The idea behind the entire concourse is that you're in and out and you're back in your seat. So everything
And the bathrooms too, right?
Everything is cashless. There's too many bathrooms in the sense that you can always find a bathroom and there's no lines in any bathroom. And people have said, like, because it's been this entire season,
Adam, dream.
It's worked out. Like, nobody's ever in the concourse area because that's not how he wanted it. They built the stadium on top of itself, so everything is on top of the court and all of the noise is funneled down. And the supporter section that you talked about that TFC has, they have one. They have one in the Intuit Dome for the Clippers fans who are the hardcore. They gauge them by like sound. You know, there's sound meters in front of them judging how much decibels they have every single game. So he built a stadium for fans, and it's worked out so that they have the best atmosphere in the NBA.
And to that point, Jesse, that's such a great point because I was thinking of the same thing, and I didn't know it in that level, but I did watch his 60 Minutes interview, which was spectacular. The thing about it that you said that really stuck out to me is built it for the fans, get them out of the concourse and into their seats, all that stuff. And guess what market it's in? It's in Los Angeles. It's in the money market. Like LA, New York, Miami, those are the money markets. You could say Chicago too.
A little bit of a show-off market.
Well,
you know what? I want you to
would
bring
be
my
the
food and drink to my seat.
Yes, and the argument in Toronto would be, well, I mean, this is Toronto.
Yeah.
This isn't the real NHL. This is Toronto. And I'm sorry, if LA can do it,
Yeah.
you can do it here.
So that's my thing about, like, yes, it's on the fans who are there, the suits who are in the lower levels, but it's also on MLSE / Rogers now, who owns the team outright when they kick out Tannenbaum and all that fun stuff. It's on them to build that atmosphere for the real fans.
And I think that they will. I think we're half a decade away from seriously talking about a complete revamp of that arena. There's no land left downtown. So that arena,
You have to retrofit it.
yeah, that arena is where it will be. But you look at
It's the perfect spot, though.
100%. That's why it will be there.
Yeah.
If you look at Rogers Center, which is formerly the Sky Dome, and the $300 million that Rogers invested in making that a better fan experience, because they found out in the 15 and 16 playoffs, if we go on a run, it's not just the Blue Jays that do well. Rogers Communications, RCI, sees like a 20% jump in our share price. Our share price.
Yeah.
People buy more cell phone plans. People listen and watch our media, like our radio stations, our television. It even more. Like, that is the kind of thing. That's the reason that there's a business case for that, is because they've seen it already, right? They saw it happen with the old. So even though the team was garbage last year, and depending upon whether Pete Alonso and Max Scherzer sign, we're not sure about this year. Once this complete takeover from Larry Tannenbaum happens, and we suspect it'll happen in 2026 when Larry's shares are up, Rogers going to buy that. They'll own 95% of the team, and then Omer's will own 5%. And Omer's can be like, hey, we don't want to do that. And Rogers will be like, yeah, that's cool, man. Anyway, here's what we're going to do. And I think we're talking about a real retrofit over the course of 3 or 4 years, right? They'll do it in the summer and then come back out in the winter. And then they'll move all the concerts over to Rogers Center and the outdoor one, Budweiser stage.
Yep.
And in that time, they'll start to retrofit that arena, because I think part of the problem, guys, is we have an arena that was built for basketball, retrofitted for hockey, and is now 30 years old, 25 years old.
1999.
And as funny as it is, like, in our grandparents' generation, it's like, well, the Montreal Forum was around for 70 years. Maple Leaf Gardens was 70 years.
No, an arena should last about 30. And then
you're outdated.
Build a new one, yeah.
So I
Get a
think
bunch of taxpayer money.
You're damn right.
These fucking billions.
I can't wait to pay for it. And I'm sure we'll get free tickets too.
Now, there's 2 days break between that Leaf game and this one. Matthews jumped on the grenade. Everyone, oh man, Dennis Hildeby and this and that, and you jumped on the grenade as captain. Good job. Saturday night in Ottawa against the Sens, potential first-round matchup. Regardless of that, it's the Battle of Ontario. And they're reeling a little bit. Their captain needs a big performance too.
And it's hockey night in Canada.
This needs to be a defining performance for Austin Matthews. He needs to hold up his end of the bargain. The other side of that, any Leaf fan going to that game knows the atmosphere's better there for a Leaf game. Tickets probably cheaper.
In Ottawa.
You are exactly the kind of fan that Matthews is asking for. You need to make that a fucking concert on Saturday night. That's on you. You got a job here to this team and to this fan base. Go take care of business.
By the way, thank you to all the Senators fans that sell their tickets to Leaf fans and make it a home game for the Leafs. We do appreciate you.
100%. And I mean, it's not like Sens fans want to be kicked out of that building either.
I know we like to storyline these things, but Austin Matthews doesn't need any kind of performance. He's on a 73 goal pace.
Get out
If he doesn't score Saturday and he has a bad game, I don't care.
I feel like that's such a soulless way of looking at it, though.
It's a realistic way. There's a lot of season left.
There's an element of truth to it, Jesse. But dude, which game, if you're the average fan, is more important? They're both worth 2 points, right?
Yeah.
Are you serious? You don't think a game against the Sens means more?
Oh, I think it means a lot more.
Totally. I don't think Austin looks at it that way at all. I think he's playing really well, and we shouldn't take away from a guy who has scored he's scored enough goals for the games he's been back. So 9 goals in
he doesn't have to score. There's other ways to play well.
Would you agree, though,
Austin
that
plays well every game?
Yes, he does. Would you agree, though, that if he did,
highest paid player in the league,
making that statement has more force to it?
Yeah, he's gonna play well because he's Austin Matthews.
Yeah, Willie, was on a slump. Team lost 3 games in a row. He said, "What's the big deal?" We said, and then he went out and had one of the best stretches of his season.
Yeah, and he didn't think that was a big deal either.
Yeah, but we did. We did. Right. Matthews, okay, you can't be like, we need the fans to be louder, and then look at the next game like it's just another one on the schedule. I don't think that's how this works at all.
I think Austin Matthews shows up for every single game, and it doesn't. And that's part of his complaint about the fans is I'm here every game.
The reason,
so he's not. There's no way he's showing up extra. He's there. At the full.
That's capacity. What the playoffs are.
He's there at full capacity every single time, playoffs, regular season, or not.
The playoffs are every night in the regular season. You give it 100%, and then the playoffs show up, and you got to find something else.
110. Yeah,
you got to find something else.
I think there's an extra edge to a Senators game. I do on a Hockey Night in Canada. I do. But I agree. Here's what I think. If I am listening to this as if I was a listener, okay? Yeah. So I'm listening to Steve and I'm going, yeah. But I'm also listening to Jesse and going, yes. Well, that is a very reasoned argument, and I agree with it. If Austin, let's say he has a bad game. Let's say he's a -6. Not that that could ever happen. And against Ottawa, am I going to be like, fuck those comments? You ask us to be loud and then you don't show up in Ottawa. No.
That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I get that. But I also get what Steve's saying where he's like, listen, man, you want to make these comments? You got to get out there and freaking show them. Get out there. Which I can't wait for your kid to play hockey in a league when they're 13 or 14 and things start to get really intense because you're going to be inconsolable on the sidelines. I can't wait to go to those games.
Dude, he's 4.
I know.
And I've already had a few people like, hey, and I'm like, okay. So I can't react to anything.
Right. Yeah, you sit down. You sit there and let the steam come out of your ears.
I sit there and it's not steam. He's 4. I'm just like, God damn it, I'm so proud.
I like the idea of it Sens on Saturday night, but when you're living it every day with the players and everything, you realize maybe Austin might be -6 on Saturday and they play again Wednesday,
and we forget about it.
They play Minnesota Wednesday.
Yeah.
All right, well, imagine this. Hi, welcome to Hockey Night in Canada.
Well,
it's just another game.
I'm not asking.
It's just 2 points.
I'm not asking a fan to react
I'm not
that way.
asking the television to do that.
Yeah.
That's what they should do because it's television entertainment. I'm giving a perspective in that, you know what? We hype this up, but it's not the end of the world. They play Wednesday.
Yeah, and here's the thing. He's there.
Yeah.
We're at home.
Yes.
Both perspectives are relevant, is what I'm saying. And you guys, both perspectives are relevant.
I'm not saying you're wrong, Steve. I'm just offering offering an opinion.
Yeah, and also
there's not a lot of.
I'm not trying to shut down all of Hockey Night in Canada, and we play the games with an empty arena and none of it's hype.
I liked the COVID games. All right,
reasonable expectations does not breed success.
Yes. Now, I will say this.
What does that mean?
You know English, don't you?
Hey guys,
What does that mean?
What? Be unreasonable. Like this game means more than others. It does.
It does. I agree with that.
Sure.
Okay, now.
Jesse,
let me move on.
Man.
Let me move on.
Yeah.
I love that you guys are disagreeing.
Yeah, you said it with a little
something. The other thing,
whatever the opposite of good,
whatever your impression
that much.
Whatever your impression of Hockey Night in Canada intros was.
Stressed.
Your impression of Hockey Night in Canada's intros, that's how they are sometimes. They don't bring out the fireworks enough.
I'm too busy working.
Let's bring out the fireworks.
Yeah, you talk about non-hyped atmospheres. Watch Hockey Night in Canada on Saturdays.
Oh my god!
There you go.
You guys don't even have to do it anymore. When the Leafs are in town, you're on a stream, you're at the game. I'm at home going, "Come on, it's Saturday. Can we please get excited?" It's like, well, here's a poem from 1867. So anyway. BetMGM is an official sports betting partner of the National Hockey League and has your back all season long. They might even have your face, especially if it's cross-checked. Mm-hmm. Now, we know that the Oilers and the Canucks are playing tonight. Okay? They're playing tonight.
Yes, they are.
No Chaos Giraffe and Tyler Myers. That might be a net positive for the Canucks. No Connor McDavid for the Oilers. So here's my thought on it, and then I want to know how you guys would handle a betting situation, okay? Mm-hmm. Connor McDavid is not playing. Everybody in the Oilers organization is mad. This is a galvanizing moment. Mm-hmm. Is this a Leon Draisaitl goes bananas game? Or is this the Oilers lose and this is the NHL's fault game?
The Oilers had a game since they were the better team against the Washington Capitals all night. They did lose, but they were the better team all night. It was a goalie thing. This is the sort of game where you can expect 2-2 from Leon. I want an over/under for penalty minutes. That's what
I don't know if they provide that.
I know. I wish they did. I think it's going to be
a special case. It should be.
I don't think there's going to be anything chippy about it. I think these guys are going to beat the crap out of each other.
Jesse, what do you think?
It's in Edmonton, so I'm going to side that
baby.
The Oilers win it. Vancouver's not very good. I think they're going to struggle the second half of the season. This seems like an easy win for the Oilers for me.
Okay.
They gotta, like an injured player, show Connor like in the box on the Jumbotron. The place will go apoplectic.
That's funny.
Anytime goal scorer, Leon Draisaitl 210, Zach Hyman 235, Pettersson 330. First goal scorer. Who's got the best, who pays out the least, literally?
Leon.
You think Leon?
Yeah.
Interestingly, it's not. He's second. He's at 10.5.
What?
But it is an Oiler. Who might it be?
Hyman?
Zach Hyman. Oh, isn't that interesting?
That's.
Who do you take for first goal scorer? You take Leon?
Sprinkle on Leon and take their money. What I would do. I think he's going to have a great game. Okay. I also haven't had very good luck recently, so we'll see.
There's a bunch of categories, including first goal scorer, last goal scorer, player block shots, goalie saves, shutouts. So many options just for this one game alone and every game. And that is why BetMGM is your hockey home for the season. Raise your game to the next level with BetMGM, a sportsbook worth the selling and an official sports betting partner of the National Hockey League. BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 19 years of age or older to wager. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you have any questions or concerns about your gambling or someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. BetMGM operates pursuant to an operating agreement with iGaming Ontario. Let's talk about Dennis Hildeby, who I was going to say this as it happened, but it is now 20 minutes ago. It was announced that Dennis Hildeby has been assigned to the Toronto Marlies. Matt Murray, the Murdog, is coming up from the Marlies, and that seemed to be...
He's been so good.
For Leaf fans, the consensus. Now, when Matt Murray was up, he wasn't great the last time, which is why he went down.
Yes.
But now he was at, second star of the week in the game?
I want to say his last 3 games were shutout, 1 goal.
Which is amazing.
He's done well.
And this is a goalie that's got 2 Stanley Cups, played under pressure, brutal injury, stayed here because he wanted to be a Leaf and make his comeback. So there's a great story here that I just don't think has been grasped. And I know Joseph Woll's going to start on Saturday, but there are two things. I want to start with the positive with Matt Murray. Matt Murray, if he makes a successful comeback, especially with his hometown team, we need to make more of that.
Oh, 100%.
It's on the media to go, hey, this is a big deal. I know everybody's been doubting this guy since we got him from Ottawa in that extraordinarily questionable trade that Kyle Dubas made. And it was extraordinarily questionable at the time, and you look back and it looks worse now. Somehow, he still played okay in those 19 games he played that year. But this guy coming back and being successful for the time that we need him is going to be great. Dennis Hildeby, I think, at 22 or 23 years old, is a guy that can have success in the NHL.
Yeah.
But if the Leafs keep running him out this way, gentlemen, would you not agree that we are risking a bump in the development a little bit?
Well, yes. There's a player I talked about in the LFR yesterday where I remember watching him early in his career, and we talked about him on the podcast, and I was like, I don't know why this team keeps trotting this guy out.
Harry Sateri.
I was like, this kid is not very good, and he continued to not be very good, and showed some signs, but man, he goes to another team, he's still not very good, and then one year he just has this, I figured it out moment, and he cruises to great numbers for a few years. A contending team trades a king's ransom for him, and he wins the Stanley Cup, and then he hits a blip in his career, and this year he's doing okay again. It's Darcy Kemper. And I remember when I first saw him, I'm like, this dude is... I don't think so, man. I don't think so at all. Charlie Lindgren's another guy who probably played games too early in his career with the Montreal Canadiens when they needed him. And I was like, I don't get it with this guy at all. Last year, he's incredible. This year, he's still pretty good.
Look at all the goalies that the Sens gave to other teams in the league.
Oh, my God.
That are now very good.
Ben Bishop and Robin Leonard and...
Gustafson. Philip Gustafson. Philip Gustafson.
Yeah, I was like...
In Minnesota.
Yes. Yeah, totally. Yeah, they're great at drafting them. Developing them is a bit of a problem. I will say, though, I think it was Jake B. Leafs was... he was a little more crude than I'm about to be, but, Hildeby's fundamentals look horrible right now. He's huge every time he gets in the net. Cool, great.
If you're down too early, the size doesn't matter.
He's all over the place. All over the place. The amount of times he does these powerful for no good reason movements that throw him out of the net, so that he's not covering the thing that he's paid to cover.
Yeah.
Is in his tracking, and the amount of times it's a one-on-one with him and the shooter, and he's beaten clean. There were moments last night where I'm like, Rielly could have done better there. Rielly could have done better there. Jake McCabe's a -3. I think it was Connor Timmins behind the net led to the Del Bel-Belouz goal. Man. Merzlikins gave him saves. Make some saves, dude.
Jesse, what were your thoughts? Did you get anything? Did you deduce anything from players or coaching staff about Dennis Hildeby specifically? I know it probably wasn't a huge topic of conversation. But.
No, it wasn't that great, but I think everybody realizes it's time for Matt Murray to give it a shot. It's Woll needs the time off just because he's never played this much. So you need some sort of steady tandem now that Stoller's been out for so long and it's still a couple weeks away from coming back. And Hildeby isn't that player just yet. You know, he's not there in his development, and having him here getting shelled by Columbus doesn't really make sense anymore. They try and downplay that he's not missing any steps in his development at the NHL level, but it's more useful to have a guy who's a veteran in Matt Murray who can do this. If this is the level of play we're getting out of Hildeby, Matt Murray can't be worse. Matt Murray can't be worse, so you might as well have the veteran who knows the NHL, who's been through it, go through this with the team, as opposed to the young kid who doesn't know about that side of the game.
Matt Murray, just checking the AHL.com right now, in the 15 games that he's played, leads the American Hockey League in goals against average, 1.68.
That's pretty good.
Through 15 games is really hard to pull off. His record is only 8-4-2. Score some friggin' goals when the guy's in net. Holy shit. And his save percentage is a 9 34. The only guy in the AHL with a higher save percentage than that, Yaroslav Askarov.
So right thing, probably Woll starts Saturday, and I think they have a game Monday. And
No,
I feel
it's Wednesday, Minnesota, right?
Oh, it's not till
I think
Wednesday.
it's Saturday, Wednesday.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So
We're gonna get a day off.
Well, the Leafs have an interesting choice here because if you play Woll against Ottawa and then decide to play Matt Murray at home against Minnesota, you can get Woll an entire week off. And then, immediately give him to the Oilers in Edmonton.
Yeah.
But, there's an opportunity here to get him a full week off. Then you have a Western road swing. That can always be tough. And then Four Nation Faceoff, he's not playing in it. There's an opportunity to get Woll a big old bunch of rest after playing more games than he's ever played.
There are only 6 games left before the Four Nation, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was looking at the calendar, and there's they play the Wild on Wednesday, and that's the last game until February 22nd at home.
Wow.
Yeah, you're going to
so-
get like a month off from covering
Yeah,
this
it's
game.
the 6th to the 22nd. There's no games to go to.
So I
That's
have
unreal.
I have a deployment idea because the Wild just activated Kaprizov, so he probably will play next Wednesday. If you are the Leafs,
Shit.
and Matt Murray's looked this good, would it not make sense to keep playing him and play him tomorrow in Ottawa, which could be a friendly environment for Leaf fans, against his old team? And then you bring out Woll against the Wild and the Oilers, who you expect that a player with the contract that he has next year, the trajectory that he has, he's going to play those two teams. And that's not to denigrate the Senators. I just think you see sometimes with Berube where he's like, you used to play here, right? I'm going to dress you tonight. Which is the opposite Babcock, which was, oh, you used to play here? Fuck off.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. If the decision were made up to me, I would play Woll against the Sens. The only real reason I see to play, Matt Murray's hot in the AHL. Okay, Woll's our starter, though. The only reason to play Murray on Saturday is if you're concerned about Woll's health.
The logic is with Steve, that's what they're probably going to do. But I think if we're pie in the skying it, they'd take Adam's advice. That'd be so cool. I think it'd be great to see Matt Murray start against Ottawa, and then you give Woll extra time off, and he plays those Minnesota Edmonton games, and then we're off for 3 weeks.
It's the better narrative choice.
Oh yeah,
the
if I
storyline.
was in charge, that's what I would do. Just play Matt Murray, and it's fun.
You mean if you were a
But-
scriptwriter for the NHL?
Yeah, like the NFL, it's scripted. But
rigged,
Steve's
yeah.
probably right in what they should do.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. I
Matt
love
Murray
that
starting would be awesome.
I love that idea. Okay, I want to move on to the next thing on the Leafs, which is there any news on Matthew Nyes? I haven't seen anything this morning. Jesse, did you get anything yesterday?
No, they didn't have an update.
Okay.
They never do night of game.
All right. It didn't look like
I didn't really see what
it
happened.
So he was hit, and then originally on the broadcast they're like, oh, he took a hit from the linesman. It was actually a player he took a hit from, and I think he fell
it
into
was-
the linesman, but I
right.
don't think the linesman affected anything. I
Yeah.
think that was just a light grazing. I think it was the hit. It was awkward. Here it is. So you see
He
him.
just got body checked, and he fell. And then, the linesman, he kind of just skates into his leg. It didn't really have an effect on him, but just got hit hard.
I think, maybe
Got
he
hit
just
hard and he
twisted the
fell to
wrong
the
way.
ground, yeah. He bumped something on the way down.
Also, does it make sense to roll Matthew Nyes back out there when you're down 3-0
It's
or 4-0?
3-0 end of the second. Yeah, come on,
Yeah.
man.
And he's coming off of concussion, right?
Well, that was the first thing I worried about, seeing
Yeah.
him fall like that and potentially hit his
I
head
thought
on
it was
the ref.
back or shoulder.
They called it upper body, so it's
Well-
somewhere above the waist.
All three of those things are upper body, I guess.
Yeah. We know details from
Yeah. What is the cutoff for upper and lower body?
your waist, right?
Belly button, I'm going to say. Is your low back your lower body or upper body?
I have no idea. Mid body.
I'm throwing it. Is it your belt? I don't know.
Stop it.
What?
Larry.
What?
Is this okay? Upper body. You're Jesse. This is you talking.
My
to
low
Craig
back
Berube.
hurts right now.
Craig.
What, do I have an upper body injury or lower?
Craig, is it nips up? Is it navel up? Is it wiener up? What are we talking? What's up? What's upper body?
Can you
Here?
imagine? Hey, man, does he have a dick up injury? Jesus.
By the way, they showed a clip of Berube fighting when he was with Calgary, one of his last fights in the NHL. And I forgot how much Craig Berube looks exactly the same 20 years later.
Yes.
It's literally like you took Craig Berube from the Leafs bench, put a helmet on him that doesn't quite fit, and his shoulders are like up to here. Like, I was like, man, that's Craig now.
You know how like some fighters at the end of their career look like a Van Gogh painting?
Yeah.
Nope. That's a guy whose face is made of titanium, I think.
Yes.
Yep.
He's got, with Berube, he's got edges to that face. Like, you know what I mean?
Would
Like
cut your knuckles?
Like
on
his
yeah.
nose has a strong chin. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he's
Yes.
I love him. I love this man. He's so intimidating.
I've never met him, but I'd probably call him sir.
Jesse, do you get the sense that Berube is a intimidating guy, chill guy? What do you think?
I think there's a good balance to him, is what I find. Is that he can be very calm and chill at times, and you can see he's well liked by all the players. But if he needs to get intense, like he'll get very intense. I feel like it's a great balance I think they have right now with Berube as head coach.
Anything else Leafs related we want to talk about before we move on?
Do we want to touch on the game at all? On how they played?
I think Steve said it earlier. To me, it felt they got goalied on one end and goalied on the other.
I thought
they played great.
I thought they got goalied in a sense, but they weren't shooting enough when they had the puck.
Not enough.
The way Columbus played defense is they held them to the outside. It was a beautiful defense by Columbus, and I think they deserve as much credit for making it easy on Elvis last night. Mm-hmm. So Toronto had the whole outside of the zone the entire time they had the puck.
Yeah.
And Toronto, I don't know what it is about. They know what it takes to score goals, but they don't do it often enough because they have the puck in the zone.
Go to the damn net.
Go to the net, fire the puck at the net, and Columbus is giving you all of this space smartly. And every time they at least tried something, Columbus was able to collect the puck and receive it and throw it out and go back the other end. And then Toronto bring it back and then dance around the outsides.
I don't say it as a bit. Like go to the net.
There's this gap in logic with the Leafs where on nights where they are successful, they do one thing, and on nights where they're unsuccessful, they do the other thing.
Yep.
But if you are aware of this, why don't you do the thing that's successful every single night?
Because it's a bad habit, right?
That's what I'm trying to understand about the mentality of the players on the team, and that's the little gap in when I'm watching them play. I'm like, okay, you should be doing this, just do it. And they did it. When Willie teamed up with Matthews and Marner at the end of the game, and Matthews scored that goal where he was.
Yeah. In front of
the net. Willie comes around the back of the side, and Matthews just standing in front of the net. He gets it by two guys, and Matthews taps it in. I was like, where was this all game?
And like, Reeves had like a near breakaway opportunity. William Nylander hit the post. They had a number of opportunities.
Oh, they could have been up 3-0 after the first.
Oh,
I mean, they did. They could have.
Very frustrating.
So I have a theory on that. Mm-hmm. When this team was truly came together for the first time with all the guys, including Matthews and Marner and Nylander and those guys, it was 2016, 2017.
Yep.
The ethos of the organization at that time was keep and carry the puck. Back pass, no matter what. Like no dump and chase, no matter what, maintain puck control. Not only does it make your analytics look great, even if you're doing dick all, which sometimes they are.
Yeah, that's a whole.
They were totally jigging the analytics.
Last night was an analytics darling night for the league.
Yes,
and if you watch that game, you're like, no, this is all bad. So there's a clip of them on the power play on PP2 where they have you look at the clock. I can pull it up.
You're right.
They get the puck at 37 seconds. PP2. They don't take a shot until there's 8 seconds left in the power play, and the entire time they're holding the puck. They make like 4 passes between guys, and they're all just dancing around. Domi's dancing around. That's great. That's fantastic for the analytics and looking like how many
chances they might have had.
Possession time you had, how much you were in a high danger shot area. But it was bad hockey because they took one shot and they wasted 30 seconds of ice time having a 5-on-4 advantage. That's the stuff that makes
their power play was not good last night.
But it looks great on a stat sheet.
And I would say, Jesse, PP1 had similar instances, right? You guys mentioned it. There were even times where I saw Bobby McMahon in front of the net and Matthew Nyes in front of the net where Willie and Mitch and Austin are looking for perfection. And so the reason I bring this up is because most of PP2 was not here at that time, but most of PP1 was. You know, if Morgan Rielly's out there, 4 of 5 of those guys were around, right?
Yeah.
So
Boy, he's
we'll get to that in a second.
oh, he's been terrible.
I think that this is a part, especially of the core 3, the top 3 guys, part of the DNA, part of how they were raised. And they got that part right, and they were right to teach them that. But what they never did, and I always thought this was a hole in Kyle Dubas's thinking. I think it was a hole in Sheldon Keefe's thinking, which was, okay, so that's step 1. Now we got to get you to step 2.
Right.
And they never quite crossed that, and I think that's what Berube's been working on. Is that unfair?
No, I 100% agree. I think it is a mentality with these guys where they don't understand what it's going to take to win games in the playoffs and be a successful team consistently night after night after night. Like they have the wrong habits for sure.
And it's like
It's changing, but it's
it
changing
is
hard.
changing.
Yes, change is hard.
You see it.
We have to acknowledge it.
You see it
Yeah.
in some games, and it's changing. And that's actually a part of the Morgan Rielly conversation. Which
So let's go with
we want
that.
to do that.
Go,
But
take it.
I wanted to just show what I was actually talking about with this clip in the power play. So this is why I look at the games last night where it's like, oh, they're outshooting them 22-7, or actually this is 19-8 in the middle of the second. It's a 1-0 game. They're right in it, but the Leafs aren't playing the right way to win the game.
Oh, is this Robertson with the puck?
Yes.
This play. Oh, I was screaming at the TV.
So like I sit there and I'm like, yeah, people are saying, yeah, they got goalied and all that stuff. I'm like, they got goalied by their own play.
This is a goal.
So
This is a goal.
So the Leafs here,
Like-
anybody listening, the Leafs have the puck in the slot area.
Currently
Robertson
out shooting
has it.
Columbus 19-8.
They're out shooting Columbus 19-8. It's still a 1-0 game, 14-27 left in the second period. They're on the power play, 37 seconds left in the power play. This time, they are holding the puck. They're passing it around the zone. We don't even need the details of how they're passing. They pass it down low. They go back up top. They keep going around the side. Columbus is just playing a diamond in the middle. They're just letting Toronto play with the puck all around the edges. We are now at 22 seconds. No shot has been taken. Toronto has gone all the way around the zone with passing.
I love the guy, but the Blue Jackets, like, you're outnumbered. You got to make choices. And they're like, let Domi have the puck.
No.
What's he going to do? Shoot? First of all, he's not. Second of all, if he does, I don't care because it's a muffin.
So we keep going. We're now at 20 seconds. Toronto still has the puck. They've passed it. Every man has touched it so far. There's 2 guys in front. They're not going to touch the puck at all because Toronto's still passing it around the back. We're at 15 seconds now. That's Morgan Rielly passing it over to the next man who came up to receive the pass, and they just keep going. Still no shot taken yet. They're still playing on the outside by the blue line. They still have the puck. And finally, we get to 8 seconds left, and we have a shot on goal. That is bad hockey. It looks like you have possession the whole time, and you're dangerous, but all you're doing is passing it around the zone. That's garbage, and that's not how you win hockey games.
I think that's why you got to be careful with you got to watch too. You got analytics are a tool, watching is a tool. Combine them, please.
That's a good look at the system. Jesse, can you go back to the first screenshot that you had on the screen of Robertson? Because this, oh my God, I don't know who the Columbus penalty killer is. He's giving you the biggest triangle in the entire universe to pass the puck through. Who's the assistant captain there? Who's the guy wearing the letter? Is that Rielly or Matthews?
I think that's Mo.
Oh, well,
It would be
PP2.
Mo, right?
I think it's Mo because Matthews is in front of the net.
Mo
that's
was
Minton.
Yeah, Matthews would have been already off.
PP2.
It's PP2.
Minton's in front of the
net.
net.
That would be Rielly.
Oh, okay. So, dude, this is a scoring chance.
No.
This is a score. Pass it.
No.
Pass it. You got Rielly might score this. He might. Probably not, but he might. It's a scoring opportunity.
Rebound.
You got Minton there for the rebound. Minton there for the tip. Minton there for the, who knows, maybe he's capable of some JVR shit. Dude!
No.
Ah! Why did you hold this? I'm screaming at the TV when this
37
happened.
seconds left in this PP, and we get that shot at 8 seconds. That's a waste of time.
Oh, Robbie.
So-
killing me, dude. Killing me.
So with this, let's segue to Morgan Rielly.
Yes.
Because you're right, we do need to talk about this. You know, Steve said last week, I'm ready to have the Morgan Rielly conversation. Since then, it's only gotten worse.
Yeah.
The noises are getting louder from the fans anyway. I have no idea what the organization thinks. I can't imagine there's a scenario where he's not injured. But I also
yeah.
can't imagine a scenario where he's injured enough that he's sitting out or should be sitting out and playing. Because with everybody else, slight injury, they're out of the lineup. We have the depth. What does this organization do? This is a $7.5 million player. This is a guy who has shown you before that he can be great, especially in the playoffs. But there were some giveaways last night that were bad. And here's the thing. It's not a one-off thing. These are trends. We're seeing these over and over
When
and
he couldn't
over again.
find it in his feet. Oh, just screaming at the TV. Just screaming. Morgan, buddy. Like, okay. We were talking about Joseph Wolin. How do you manage the schedule coming up?
Yep.
They got Sens Hockey Night in Canada, then 3 days off, a game against Minnesota. If you take those 2 games off, you get a week off. Then there's the Western Road swing and the Four Nation face-off. I am not convinced that if you keep him out of the lineup for those 6 games, the team is significantly worse off. You replace him with... take a pick. Like, you replace him with Philippe Myers, and you throw those guys around. McCabe's back on the left.
Klingberg would have helped.
You replace him. Well, you replace him with. Are we going to finally get to see some Marshall Rafai action? You know what I mean? I don't know if it's Dakota Murmas time yet.
Do you think the organization would hesitate to hold him out, like healthy him because he's an assistant
He's
captain?
not healthy.
Well, to healthy scratch him though. They could couch it in a he's battling a blah 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 blah. But do you think that there's reluctance because he's been such a great citizen, such a great soldier, has been through everything with this organization? Do you think out of respect they're like, we got to give him more time? But I get the sense time's running out, guys. I don't know.
John Tortorella healthy scratched his captain last year, and when we criticized him for it, Flyers fans pretty unanimously came to us and they were like, well, no, he's been bad. It's got nothing to do with. I've said this 1,000 times. Morgan is a treasure. I love him as a guy. Great person. What's that got to do with any of this? You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure he wouldn't want to. He probably doesn't want to miss the game in Vancouver because that's roughly where he's from. I don't remember BC or just a
Burnaby, something like that.
Yeah, BC. He's from BC. Mm-hmm. Probably doesn't want to miss that game. Okay, fine. You know what? Because you're such a model citizen, you get to play in that game. We have to manage you now. Because they're already managing his minutes.
Yes.
What percent of the games is he their top played defenseman?
Well,
what percent of games is he second?
He's only down about a minute in overall ice time versus his career average, although down 2 minutes versus last year.
Well,
so 23 to 21.
What I'd be interested, because the third pair did not get used very much last night. Like, Yell played more than him last night. Mm-hmm. Dude's in his 30s.
I think OEL's better.
Yeah. Right Tanev plays more than him.
Better.
McCabe plays more than him.
Better in his role. Better. He's the 4th of the top 4.
Yeah, on a lot of nights, he's number 4. That's not okay. It's not okay. Like, is there a problem here? Most fans assume there's a problem here. All right, let's fix it. Let's get this solved because this isn't helping anybody.
Well, and I think if Morgan Rielly was at full tilt, we have a defenseman on the first power play.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and he's obviously not close.
Whatever the reason. I find it, I think at some point we're going to know.
I'm afraid that Morgan Rielly just might not work with Craig Berube because he said something I thought was fascinating to Jonas Siegel, because Siegel did an article, I think it was on Monday. He's trying to figure, and there's a part in it where he's trying to figure out like what's struggling with Morgan Rielly. And Morgan Rielly talked about playing within Craig Berube's system and how it's an adjustment. And I can read the quote directly. He said, "I'm just trying to play within structure and hold the net front as opposed to going to the puck. We kind of did change our structure a little bit. Our D don't really stray as far away from the net as they used to. So that just takes some getting used to." He compliments McCabe, and then he goes on to say, there are certain things that we have in place in terms of, I don't want to say rules, but policies that we try to follow that are new and different. And it just takes a little bit of getting used to. So Morgan Rielly is admitting there to Siegel that he's been struggling and trying to work away from his instincts because Sheldon Keefe has been playing a certain way.
Jeez.
Mike Babcock had him playing a certain way. And that's all he's known his entire career. And I think Craig Berube comes in with a system that he's never played in before. But I hear that and I look at the calendar and I say it's January. It's mid-January. You're an NHL veteran who's in his 30s. What do you mean you can't get used to a new system?
Well,
That's inexcusable to me. And if it's mid-Jan, you had a full training camp with this guy. It's not like this was a mid-season replacement, like how the LA Kings ruined their entire defense when they switched coach mid-season.
Yeah.
Rielly's had time here. Everybody else is kind of getting it. You better get it too. That's not an excuse. And if you can't get this, maybe you don't work under this head coach.
well, and Jesse, to that point, Jonas and CJ put together an article about the top 10 Leaf center targets, right? And by the end of it, they just about talked me out of everybody. Brock Nelson, honestly, like you go and read it. By the way, shout out Jonas, who I personally think is one of the best guys. But Jonas did try to trade Max Domi in that in one of those deals, which I think is hilarious.
That
Jonas,
is-
I know you don't.
You know
like
what? We love a brand.
Yeah, it's his brand. But if you
We love a brand.
if you go through and you read it, the top two guys are the two guys I've been mentioning: Brock Nelson, and Ryan O'Reilly. The cost of those guys is exorbitant, right? And the Leafs are not willing to part with a first round pick this year, and I get that. Well, they don't have one. They don't want to part with next year. Completely understand that. So then we talk about last episode how if Fraser Minten comes in and he's great and serves their needs, and maybe he's not Ryan O'Reilly or Brock Nelson, but he fills the gap. There are 4 guys making over $10 million. And if Fraser Minten comes in and is good, is half a point a game, that's better than what they've had. So fine.
He's looking passable right now.
Then it gives you the opportunity to go, should we make a move on defense? Because we did talk about winger depth before the season starts. I think they're okay on that. But I look at this, Hakanpää, I mean, we could talk about him playing in 4 nations.
He's going to do it.
I think he is going to do
I
it.
legitimately think he's
I
going
think
to do
that's
it.
his
So
conditioning
goofy.
stint.
It's so goofy.
I think that's his conditioning stint. Instead of going to the AHL, he goes and plays 4 nations
By the end of the 4-nation faceoff, he will have played more games
for Finland.
for Finland than
Yes.
he will have played for the Leafs or Marlies.
Myers, Timmins, and Benoit have both had ups and downs this year, but overall, I'm pretty happy with what those guys bring. I do want to see a Marshall Rafai. This is the time to try. This is time to find out. They don't have the organizational depth beyond that. They're not fans of Topi Niemela. I haven't watched much AHL this year, so I have no idea how he's
His
performing.
offensive numbers are down, and he's not a big guy.
I think he'll be in the Pittsburgh farm system pretty soon. I do.
I think they'll give him a chance, and I think
I think maybe in Pittsburgh system he would.
I think he'll play NHL games. I just don't think he's a fit here.
Yeah.
So this actually, I've said this with Craig Berube before.
I just want to say, just to finish my point.
Go ahead.
You're making a point about
My
Rielly.
point was,
Sorry. I am too.
wouldn't a left-shooting, puck-moving defenseman, which are cheaper than the right-shot guys, and we got enough of those now. When have we ever said that? I know. A Marcus Pettersson makes some sense. Right? Like, if
I'm not opposed.
if we're to believe CJ, and I do, that a second-rounder might fetch Marcus Pettersson, or equivalent, tell me that the Leafs can't do that. They can. So what does that look like? Can you get, and it doesn't have to be Marcus Pettersson. Please don't get hung up on the one name in the comments.
Pettersson for Niemela straight up.
Is there a package you can put together with what's in your system that Wes Clark and Kyle Dubas, who just love their guys and also love to believe that they're smarter than everybody else? They do.
They might be.
And so, like,
All right,
listen,
but it's not Pettersson specifically.
if you can get a player like that, does that give you the opportunity to then, whatever Morgan's issues are, does that give you the opportunity to then go, okay, we're going to limit his minutes. In games where he's got it, we'll play him more. In games where he doesn't, we'll play him less. And it gives us more puck-moving options. OEL gives you puck-moving options. Chris Tanev's a good puck mover.
Oh, he's decent. And by the time the playoffs come around, you have Benny as an extra.
And
That's how teams operate.
And you didn't sell the farm for a rental center to do it.
So here, I like examining when you get a coach when you get a new coach, you take a look at the team that he had the most success with, or at least I like doing this. Take a team that he had the most success with. With Berube, it's the 2019 Blues who won the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
and I go, okay, who on this team is that guy? Who is that guy? Who is that guy? Who is that guy? His top minute guy was Alex Pietrangelo. Then it's big, will beat your ass.
That's unfair.
Great offensive
Lumberjack.
capabilities. Yeah, the Leafs they just don't have that.
No.
That's fine. Colton Parayko,
Good player.
offensively capable. Not a huge offensive guy. Was he that season?
Team Canada.
Let me. He had 10 goals, 18 assists. He was pretty good. It's this year, but I'm not talking about.
I
This
know.
year. I'm
I know.
talking
I
about
know.
2019. Tanevish, big, minute eater, shoots right. Okay, Jay Bouwmeester.
Oh yeah.
I think if Rielly's healthy, that's the kind of player he can be.
J-Bo? Really?
Kinda
Minute eater.
Yeah,
Nothing. Not.
but he's not.
But neutral outcomes. J-Bo was good for neutral.
Yes. Hey, Jay, get out there and make sure nothing happens. You got a coach. And
I never want to hear about your name.
Joel Edmondson, serial killer will kill you.
Yeah.
Vince Dunn, then at 17 minutes, 32 seconds.
Underutilized.
Underutilized at the time, but this is like young Vince Dunn. To me, that's what Rielly's playing like. And like a less offensively capable young Vince Dunn.
Now, listen, we can debate the merits of a $7.5 million defenseman playing 17 minutes a night, but it's what you have right now, unless you're trading Morgan in season and
He has
you're
a
not.
no movement clause.
Yeah,
he might even be playing like the number 6 guy at under 16 minutes, and that was Carl Gunnarsson.
Well, so if you have Morgan Rielly on the third pair, that's a pretty deep defense core.
I mean,
Like,
as a Band-Aid solution for this season, sure. But like
Yeah,
going
we don't-
forward, that can't be the
But
case.
we can't talk about June and July right now.
Yeah.
We need to talk about what gets them to hopefully play a game in June.
Yeah, if you're talking about tomorrow is the only thing that exists, sure.
And I think there is a bigger conversation to be had with Morgan this summer. I think you're absolutely right. I think his name definitely comes up on the block.
They're already managing his minutes.
But and maybe Jesse, you're right. I think that there's a system adjustment and the fact that not necessarily totally through his own fault, Morgan Rielly has never had a steady defense partner here in Toronto that's ever worked. And listen, you run the names, it's thin, man.
Been over 10 years, man.
But it also has been over 10 years, and at a certain point, are you just one way?
For what he's giving the Leafs right now, he's not even close to worth $7.5 million. You look at Jake McCabe currently, his deal is $2 million.
Well, 4.
No, currently
They're paying 2, but Chicago's paying 2.
yeah.
Yeah, but this season his cap hit for the Leafs is $2 million.
Yeah.
The next season it goes back up to 4. But like for the price points you see what other defensemen cost, like Morgan Rielly's playing like, I don't know, $4 million defenseman, $3 million defenseman. So at that price point, you got to look and say, okay, if we're a team that's always up against the cap, how are we justifying 7.5 for this guy? Maybe we have trade discussions in the offseason with him.
So this is something to keep an eye on, and this is actually very funny. Rielly does currently lead the Leafs in average ice time. But
But it's down.
it's 21-21. Ekman Larson is within 7 seconds, and Jake McCabe is within 16 seconds. Tanev is is about a minute and a half behind. Watch that number and see if any of those three creep
I'll tell
up.
you where it changes. Lack of power play time. That's where you're going to see it come down.
He's still
not
playing
it.
on the power play.
Yeah, on the second unit, which gets 30 seconds a power play.
How much? Yeah. Well, he'd still be on it if it worked.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's I think that's a conversation that will be ongoing. I don't think there's any like exclamation point you can put on it right now. Let's move on to a little shout out from our good friend Elliot Friedman, who shouted out the Agent Provocateur podcast in 32 Thoughts, the column. And he said this on Agent Provocateur this week. Alan Walsh said, "I am telling you right now, the upper limit of the salary cap will be $97 million, adding that it could be $105 by 27-28. Walsh has better sources than I do." I'm quoting from him. But he's got better details on the numbers, but it fits with salary cap being set for 3 seasons. And what stood out to me was the word smoothing. And what Alan was discussing in that is we could get an announcement of not just what the salary cap will be this year, but also the next 2, because there is a gigantic jump coming, whether teams like it or not. Alan mentioned that when this cap jumps, there's going to be teams that can't reach it, and they're going to have to operate with internal budgets because they're. Let's be honest, some of these guys are cheap. Some of them say they can't afford it, but that's crap, I believe. I can understand an organization like the Jets, for instance, who do lose money in aggregate every year, but gain money in the asset value. Stop it! You're not losing money. Stop. And
God, I don't understand.
But I look at this. First off, thrilled that it gets the mention, that Allen gets the credit he deserves, because that show really does break news. And people are like, there are people that are like, Alan Walsh, like, I go to the Church of Allen. And then there's people like, he said something I don't like on Twitter 6 years ago to so-and-so. So I'll never give it a chance. And I'm telling you, you're missing gold by not listening to this show.
Yeah.
That was the part, Jesse, when we were recording that on Saturday, that blew me away the most.
Well, take it from me.
3-year salary cap. We know beforehand, which means teams can plan all this.
Take it from me regarding Allen. People are not who they are on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. But I
remember I was like, who the
exactly who he is on Twitter.
I was like, who is this guy? Oh, really?
I think he's loud and bombastic. That's why he makes such a great podcast.
Yeah, but I just want.
He's also
but I've hugged the real him.
Yes.
I've never hugged his Twitter account.
He's also warm and a family man and just one of the best guys to hang out with. So
I got a Christmas card late.
Let me say this.
At a post. Thank you.
Let me say this, that Allen, I think, as this information starts to come out, what I find interesting, guys, is point 6 and how it pertains to this. Here's what Friedge had to say. Mikko Rantanen in Colorado need a deadline. Deadline spur actions. No more bluffing. True cards on the table. The big question, the Avalanche consider March 7th to be that deadline, or are they willing to take their chances if he's unsigned by then? Even though Gabriel Landeskog signed in late July 2021, no one thought he was going to leave. Does everyone feel the same here? And I don't get that sense, guys. I don't get that sense at all. You listen to the way the insiders talk about Mikko Rantanen, and it seems like it's not just a small golf. Like sometimes, like with the Bruins with Jeremy Swayman, it was like, well, we want to pay him 58 over 8 years, and he wants 62, which works out to like, what is that? $250,000 a year, $500,000 a year? It's
Whatever
nothing.
it was,
It's such a joke. It was worthless. I get the sense that the difference between Mikko and Colorado is in the millions. When you hear people talk about it, and that's not millions over the course of the contract, we're talking millions per season. So if you get a thought on, as soon as this cap comes out, this is why I think the Marner extension's not done. This is why I think the Rantanen extension's not done. Why would you sign an extension without knowing what the cap is next year? And now you're going to know the next 3 years.
If you're the player or the team.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Why would you do it? So
There's no incentive.
It's really going to help teams plan. And I think that you're not going to see a Marner extension or a Rantanen extension until this news is out.
Yeah.
But
because everyone involved, I think, is a smart person.
For the Avs and for the Leafs, that could be after the trade deadline. Not that it matters for the Leafs because the Leafs are not trading Marner. Well, but you know what I'm saying.
I think there's probably some GMs and owners that are kicking the shit out of Gary Bettman's door right now. Gary! It's their version of Brad! No, hey guys, trying to conduct business here. Mm-hmm. And I don't think their request is unreasonable. We have like $100 million decision to make. Can you please help us with some details?
Yeah, both players.
We have $10 billion decision to make, and you're making it
with
hard to do
with
one person.
Yep.
Like between Rantanen and Marner combined are going to make somewhere between $250 million combined.
Yeah,
and you're not giving us an answer.
They'll be the biggest contracts in NHL history till McDavid's new one.
Maybe.
Both of them. No, not maybe. They will. They will be the big, unless they don't want to sign.
Maybe one of them.
Well, maybe they don't want to sign for 8 years anymore. The other thing that Alan brought up was, when the NBA cap, what did it go up? $25 million in 1 year in 2016?
It was a lot.
It was a lot. One thing that Alan said was, hey, listen, remember that a lot of those guys were on rolling 1 year deals. Like, LeBron James would sign a contract with the Cavs and then opt out of the second year of it and then re-sign with the Cavs. Right. So he could make more money because the cap was jumping that much. Does that happen here? So if Mitch Marner, and you got to remember this as a Toronto fan, we're used to 8 year deals being like, that's commitment to the team. The reason Matthews signed for 5 was because he was like, I know the cap's going to be a
5 and then 4.
Yeah, I know it's going to be it's going to explode. Why would I sign away those years? I think Mitch will do the same. I think for the Marner, and I have no insight on this, I would expect that deal to come in at 3 to 5 years max.
Well,
I don't see an 8-year deal here. I don't.
I mean, Willie signed for 8. It's interesting, right? Because you have 2 huge comparable contracts on the Leafs that go in completely different directions.
But I think you got two different personalities.
Well, you got Willie who did the full length, and then you got Austin who did half that. And which way does Marner go? I mean, if you go with the money, it's the Austin route.
Yeah.
If you go with security, it's the Willie route.
Jesse, would you pay Mikko Rantanen or Mitch Marner $14 million a year starting next season?
I think with the cap jump that's expected, I think 14 looks a little different. So, yeah.
Would you? So you would pay,
especially if I'm a team who doesn't have a Mitch Marner.
Would you do it? Would you do it over 3 to 5 years for either player?
I'd want 5, yeah. 3, no. Okay. I'd want more assurances than that. If I'm paying you $14 million, I want a little bit more years than that.
And if you're the Leafs, a 3-year deal means he comes up the same year as Austin.
Yeah, no, you can't do that.
Can I throw something out there?
Yeah.
So Willie got his big raise. Matthews got a raise. Remember this summer when the free agency and everything died down, and I'm like, hey, I don't want to alarm anyone, but the Leafs have basically the same forward group except for more money and not Tyler Bertuzzi because of the raises that everyone got. Mm-hmm. And then what could potentially happen this summer is the cap goes up. Marner gets a
$3 million.
Let's say $3 million raise.
Because it's 11 now, right?
And then Nyes gets what?
I don't know. It depends on the length of that deal, too.
Let's say
the sense is they want to go short.
Let's say Nyes gets a $6 million raise. That's 9.
So he goes to. So Nyes would make $7 million?
Yeah.
Like Slafkovsky deal? I think if you're going Slafkovsky deal, you got to go.
Let's say 5.
You got to give more years.
Let's say 5.
Mm-hmm. Tavares
so then it's 8.
So Tavares comes down.
All right. And
okay. Tavares comes down.
Mitch Marner can't make more than 13.25 on the Leafs.
You don't think so?
It's not a discussion point for me. If I'm Brad Treliving and Brendan Shanahan, him making more than Austin Matthews right now is not a starting point.
Both teams are in a similar position where I think the Leafs are probably saying that about Austin, and the Avalanche are saying that about McKinnon. The difference is McKinnon makes less. Mm-hmm. But you can't make more than Nathan McKinnon. Mm. You can't make more than, but I think the Lightning operated for a while where, no, you can't make more than Stamkos. And then Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov are like, yeah, you can. And Andrei Vasilevsky. Yeah, you can. Actually. Right. Yeah, you can.
And I don't know, because the McKinnon one's a little interesting because it's 2.5, right? 2.6?
12.6, I believe.
2.6. Yeah, so 12.6, sorry. Saying 2.6. It's a little less than 13.25. So can you justify it that way? Because Draisaitl
over $500,000 difference.
Draisaitl's making more than Connor.
Yep.
Because everybody understood in that circumstance, this was signed so long ago. 12.5 isn't what 12.5 is now. You're going to make more than Connor now.
Connor's going to make 15 in like a few months.
Just because of circumstance, you're going to make more than Connor. But with Matthews, the deal feels like it's still fresh.
He just signed it. It is fresh.
Signed it. It's fresh, and it's based on the cap that's currently, even though it's going up. And I don't find a way that we can justify the optics of you making more than Matthews.
Yeah.
And even at that price point, we're pushing it. So this seems like a good bar to set for this player. So I don't know. 13.1 is my bar for Mitch.
So I want to do the math here because Adam brought up a great point with Tavares. So Marner gets, let's say the number's 14.
Mm-hmm. No.
Let's say the number's 14.
Okay. So you're
hypothetical.
You're saying, you know what, Mitch, more than Matthews.
No. Well, I don't want that, but I would like him to take league min, but that's not an option. So let's say he makes 14. That's an extra 4.1 mil. So 4.1 plus.
Okay, keep going.
There we go. Nyes gets, let's be really optimistic, he gets 5.
So it's a 3-year deal. It's going to be a short deal.
Sure.
5. So that puts him up another 4.1, I think.
Because he's making 925.
Yeah. So let's not get down to the 25 grand. So he goes up 4.1. I'm good at math. That's 8.2. Tavares signs for,
I'm going to say 5 to 6.
let's say 5.5.
Hey, there you go.
So that reduces, he's at 11. Math.
6 million.
5.5.
Oh, 5.5.
That reduces him by 5.5. So what is 8.2 minus 5.5?
3 something like that.
Okay.
Right?
Let's say 3.5 because screw it.
Something.
Yeah, the cap is going up roughly $10 million if this is to be believed, which I believe it is.
And this eats up
30% of it.
35% of it. Or, yeah.
Which,
Again, we didn't do the math.
And let's not forget here, Steve, that they probably, if we're having an off-season conversation, the Morgan Rielly talk comes up.
And Joseph Woll goes up from less than league minimum to, he goes up nearly $3 million. So it's scary to me that this is nearly the same conversation we had last year, where it's like, okay, you get the same team for more.
But you would have a point if it was going to 92.5, which is what we were told. I think where you should be less worried. Like, I think you'd have a salient point if it was going up to 92.5. It goes to 97, like we all think it will now. Then I think we're okay. And remember,
still every other team is going to get like $10 million to play with.
no, but they're not though. But they're not, because they also have signs, contracts they have.
I guess that's true.
And then
I guess that's true.
And then you look at and you do hope that players take a hometown discount. You also, as a player, go, why would I do that?
No, you abandon hope. Why would you do that?
I get it. I think that there is maneuverability with a guy like Morgan Rielly. I think a lot of teams would be interested in him. I think you've got Fraser Minton coming up. I think you've got Easton Cowan coming up.
Yeah.
You probably take a look at Ben Danford as well. You have to take a look. He's probably going to the AHL, but you have to look. You have to look.
Yeah.
So there
he doesn't have another year after this?
Huh?
He doesn't have another year of eligibility?
Well, because he's 19, so he can probably move to the... Now, they're going to move... By the way, in case it hasn't already happened, and I can't remember if it has, they're moving in a direction with the AHL where 19 is... It's not 20 anymore. It's going to be 19.
Oh, gotcha.
And so, maybe Easton is on the AHL squad, which makes a lot of sense. That's fine. I'm just saying Minton's probably a part of the team. Cowan's probably threatening. You got Danford in the system. You were able to get OEL on the contract you got him on. You were able to get Tanev on the contract you got him on. You were able to get McCabe on that deal. Can you find pieces to augment? Yeah, I think you can. And I think, you do go and you do explore the center market, no matter how good Fraser Minton is, and go, can we upgrade? And can we put the pressure down, on him? And if you hang on to Pontus Holmberg, does David Kampf at $2.5 million become extremely valuable? Because $2.5 million when the cap was 82.5, that's crazy.
There's all kinds.
But $2.5 million when the cap's close to 100, you're like, for a fourth line center who's a veteran, who kills penalties, wins faceoffs regularly, completely dependable, net negative on offense, I'll pay it.
I'm just saying the raises you're giving out are eating up a significant...
Can I give you the math on what you just delivered? Please. So Mitch Marner making 10.9, Matthew Nyes making 1, 11 for John Tavares, 11.5 for Willie, 13.25 for Austin, 1 for Joseph Woll. I ballparked all the numbers.
Sure. Yeah.
That equals $48.65 million.
Got it.
Okay. So the raises that you handed out: Mitch at 14, Austin at 13.25, Nyes at 5. 5.5 for JT, 11.5 for Willie, 3.5 for Joseph Woll. Equals 52.75.
So it's a $4 million difference? Okay. So a lot of this comes down to JT.
I think
because we gave him 5.5.
$4 million is all it's going to cost more.
Okay.
Which is nothing.
I would also
If
say
the cap goes up to the numbers that Adam's saying.
I'm saying I have a suspicion that the Matthew Nyes negotiations are going to be harder than Mitch Marner's.
Oh,
I have a suspicion.
Yeah.
I have a suspicion.
Adam, give me that mug right now. There's drugs in it. Adam, give me that right now.
Give me
that right now. I can't let you drive into
I think
these
5
conditions.
million
What
might
the
be very conservative.
Okay, so you want to bump it up a little?
No. Listen. If it's 5 million, it's 2 years or 3 years, right?
Sure.
If it's 6 or 7 million, you need to get 6 years out of that deal.
Nice is going to be harder than Marner.
I think so.
Adam, you're on meth.
I know.
I think the decision with Marner will be very easy because it'll depend on playoff performance.
Yes,
so
agreed.
I feel like they're just gonna know. We're gonna be like, okay, it's game 7 and this happened. Let's do this.
Whereas Matthew Nyes' agent is going to go, he's among the scoring leaders in sophomore players.
So I understand Adam's logic there.
So I do think there's going to be a fight there. And the Leafs,
He's
the Leafs are in an era, and I'm glad they have a veteran general manager here. The Leafs are in an era where you need to not roll over on RFAs, Bradley. Right?
That feels like a slight.
No, but listen.
Can't imagine it. Who?
Listen, Kyle.
You know what? He does it sparingly.
Kyle
Jesse.
did a great.
He does it. You know what? Give Adam a break. He does it
Oh,
sparingly.
I'm sorry. Are we? Oh, we're all thrilled. We're all thrilled with how it all worked out, aren't we?
Yes, I am personally.
Let's put 48-year-old Joe Thornton on the first line for $900,000 because that's what we backed ourselves into.
Remember when
It's
they
not
did
fair,
that?
Kyle.
Remember when they signed him and they're like, yeah, they're going to play him with Austin and Mitch. And we're like, nah. And then they did it and we're like, oh. And then it failed. Anyway.
Yeah. So I do want to hit a couple other things, and then I know we're getting towards the end. One other interesting note. With all the noise around the Penguins, I believe they have interest in some of Buffalo's younger NHL-ready prospects. It fits what they want. So would it fit for Buffalo to grab some of the older players, which they need for their team, and give up some of their younger players to Pittsburgh, which they need?
I don't hate that for Buffalo at all.
I don't hate that for either side. It just depends on what the deal is.
Yeah.
That is fascinating. And well, Buffalo has, at least according to Scott Wheeler of The Athletic, the best prospect pool in the NHL. So that is fascinating.
Lastly, and I don't know if this bothers you, Logan Thompson has the third best goals against average in the league. Mm-hmm. He has the third best save percentage in the league for goalies who have played a certain amount of games. I don't know what the threshold is right now. Logan Thompson did not even receive a phone call from anyone in Team Canada management.
Yep.
Does that bother you as a Team Canada fan, Jesse and Steve?
It'd bother me more if it was the first time I'd heard some shit like that.
Hey, you can't be bothered by something you're expecting.
Yeah. No, they're like, listen, I don't want to take a shot at like anyone in particular because like I don't know
Dubas.
the decision-making process. Probably Dubas, yeah. Right, Adam? High five.
I think
Come on now.
I think Binnington being there of all the guys, well, Montembeault, I'm like, what are we doing?
They have a responsibility to call Binnington and Montembeault every day and be like, are you healthy? How healthy? Because you should be wearing out the knees in your jeans to beg Logan Thompson to come and play for you.
Well, so interesting. He said, if there was to be an injury, and this is an interview with Sportsnet, I know I probably won't get that call, and that's okay. They've got their guys, and I just hope Canada goes out there and wins it all, which is the right attitude, but it's very Canada, which is, let's not take the best team. Let's take our guys and make this political. And I cannot, listen, I want Canada to be successful.
Yeah.
But if they're not, I'm going to point back to this.
Yeah.
You have to.
Didn't we hear a rumor that like they had him for some sort of tournament years ago and they didn't like him or something like that? They'll hold a grudge against the guy forever.
So will Vegas, apparently. Trade the guy at his own autograph session.
Oh, I bet the Capitals feel well. And the Capitals this summer were like, bring us your problems. Please. We're begging you to.
They were the Statue of Liberty for players that needed a refresh.
Logan Thompson.
Bring us your sick.
Pierre-Luc Dubois. What a cross to bear. And now look at them.
Yep.
With a significant Ovechkin injury and everything. Look
The
at them.
USA-Sweden final is going to be great.
It is. I know that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's USA-Sweden.
Hockey Canada has just been a disaster for a long time now.
Yeah.
I don't hope this happens. Well, it's like the discussion we had with the NHL last game. Like, I am simultaneously cheering for them to do well because I need them to as a business owner. And also kind of wouldn't mind if things got significantly worse because management desperately needs to change. Hockey Canada, same shit. I'm going to be watching every game going, go Canada, go. And if they get thumped 8-0 3 times, it also might be good for them.
I feel bad for people like Sidney Crosby, who like you might be going out on a note like this.
He could win it, though.
Oh yeah, totally.
Could win it though.
Totally.
I don't want to take away from that. I don't want to be overly negative. I'm just saying if it goes bad, I'm going to look at this and go, sure, could have been
Steve
better.
had the right perspective. Like we're all cheering for it to go good, but like it might go bad.
I think because we all know there's a bit of a fall coming. And
Well-
it's starting to happen at the junior level. And you I think it was Frankie Corrado said, somebody asked him about I think it was Frankie. Frankie, if I'm wrong on this, I apologize. But they said, hey, what does Canada do about this goaltending problem they have? And the goaltending problem also extends through the junior ranks. And he's like, well, it's kind of an issue because not only is it an issue now, but like that takes like 15, 20 years to correct.
Well,
Because you need to start young.
because I was in a hockey store with Leo. And he's looking at the goalie equipment, and I'm going, oh, fuck. Who
Mortgage
wants...
payment.
Right? Dude, in the car... That was a terrible
Quite the
sound,
noise.
I'm sorry.
Quite the noise.
Yeah. We're in the car driving away from hockey, and I'm like so proud, and he's learning how to skate and everything. And he goes, Daddy, when I play games, I want to be a goalie.
Uh-oh.
He said that verbatim. And I go, oh no.
Ha-
Oh, shit.
Did you tell him about the merits of being a right shot defenseman?
Hey, so goalies are so okay.
It's a harder position. It's lonely, and you don't make as much.
Let Daddy to explain this to you. Yeah, first of all, you don't get to talk to your friends as much.
Yeah.
You tend to, at the professional level, not make as much money, and there's a ton of... Daddy can't afford that many flights because you're going to get put on waivers and you're going to get Anton Forsberg. And you're going to play on 4 different teams at the same time. And also, these pads, they're not the little Canadian Tire ones that Drew got you for your birthday. These are like professional pads. And Daddy doesn't have $5,000 right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's it's tough.
It is tough.
It's hockey. It all comes back to we keep saying hockey's so expensive, and we talk about equipment, but we're not talking about goalies. We're talking about players and registration fees and tournaments, and the goalies are the worst version of that. And you got to drive your kid potentially to 2-3 hours to a tournament they might not even play in.
You want to start a good business? Here's a good business. Leasing pads.
Damn.
Not everything, but you could lease the major parts of a goalie pad out to a bunch of different goalies every year. And that way parents don't have to pay, keep, sell, buy, whatever. And so it's cheaper for the parents, but also you get to lend those pads out every year. I'm telling you.
And
it's a good
also
business.
have a second business that just gets rid of goalie pad smell.
Yeah.
That sounds stinky, Adam. That's a
Well-
stinky idea.
My one buddy, one of Leo's friends, he's got an older brother, and his dad's like, oh yeah, it's his turn to be goalie next week. I was like, his turn to be goalie? They just take turns being goalie.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, please leave that shit in your garage while the weather's freezing.
Yeah, no.
Like, oh my God.
I think renting equipment is actually a fantastic idea, Adam. It might smell a little.
Well,
I hope they're good at the cleaning part.
yeah, they should. I agree. There's a hole in the business.
Like
plan. We gotta find a
sometimes
solution.
I'll like do even like just a casual skate outside, and then my skates will stink. I'm like, it's just fucking disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
How are my feet so sweaty?
I remember the smell of my hands after I'd done my laces, like pulled up my laces. And especially in a hockey tournament where they get wet and they're wet all weekend. Yeah. Last thing before, I don't know if we're doing a press conference, but I did want to say big shout out to Newfoundland today. The QMJHL's Newfoundland Regiment have been announced. So they will start hockey in 2025. Hockey returns to the Rock, which is great.
Nice.
I hope one day we get to go out, and I'm going to reach out to them anyway and say, can we do a date with you guys? Because I would love to go to Newfoundland and do that, just kind of like what we do with the OHL.
It would be stellar. I've been to the Rock. I desperately want to go back. It was a great time, great people, great everything.
If you know anyone, please reach out. Are we doing a press conference?
We don't have to.
We can.
we're good.
I'm happy.
All right.
Your call. Your call, Jess.
Sure.
Yeah.
The Presser. SDP.
The
The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
You shouldn't leave things up to me.
Oh, okay. Next time I'll just be like, Jesse, hit the button.
Yeah.
Smack it.
Yeah. No.
Give it a good spanking.
You made the topics for the
All right.
show. Include the press conference
all right.
if you want it.
I do want
Do
it.
you guys care that the Utah Hockey Club got rejected for using the name Yeti?
Yes, I had this story, but I read up on it. and they just have to challenge it because it was rejected because the patent office said it might cause confusion, which is such a bureaucratic bullshit way of going.
Why?
I don't have the authority to say yes or no because Yeti is also they have the Yeti cooler mugs and I know. Well, that's why they can challenge it.
Every day I read some sort of story about a politician or a judge, and I'm like, where the fuck do we find these people?
Hey, Steve, you understand now a little bit why people are... Listen, maybe it's misdirected, but people can be a little upset with the government for stupid shit.
Someone's going to show up to a Utah Yetis game, and they're going to look down at the ice and be like, why aren't there a bunch of mugs on the ice?
I think
what?
The Yeti brand.
What are you, fucking stupid?
The risk that you would take if you were the Yeti brand and you have the traveling mugs is if something bad happens with the Utah HC or vice versa. Let's say the Yeti mugs, they have a compound in them that turns your face gray or purple. Then the worry for both brands would be, could their brand negligence affect my brand? Is that reasonable? Not at all, but that is the kind of stuff they get into.
Google Stanley Cup and see what comes up.
I know.
It's not going to be the Stanley Cup.
I know. It's going to be
Does anyone get a say in
a
that?
pink glittery cup that holds way too much water. Like more water than you need in a day. Anyway.
We spend money on the dumbest fucking shit.
Jesse?
How do we get
interpreted it a
through a
little
day
differently.
as a species?
think-
Jesus Christ.
I think they run into problems with like Yeti, the brand, the mug brand sells things like T-shirts that simply say Yeti, and it's hard to go to market in a world with copyright when there's already a brand with that copyright on a T-shirt. So like it's hard for the Utah Yetis to sell a T-shirt that says Yeti on it when that already exists in the land. So
Who has a Yeti t-shirt?
I can buy it. They make clothes and stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeti,
You wear a shirt for a mug?
I'll show you. It's just they have a whole clothing store on their site. Let me see if I can bring this up.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a whole thing on that, but we don't have to get.
Yeah, let's not get into it. It's just silly. Listen, they're going to challenge it. They're going to be the Utah Yeti. They're going to get this.
We don't know that.
I think they will. I think
I don't know how you're so confident with that opinion.
because it's bureaucracy. It's just let's make this more difficult than it needs to be.
Brown 03 Buckeye writes, I think it's because Leafs played Columbus last night. This topic is relevant. I think I want to hear your thoughts on this. I do want to hear your thoughts on this. What does Columbus do at the deadline? Currently in a playoff spot, but has very valuable trade pieces in Provorov or a few others. Does it make sense to sign 1 to 2 year bridge deal or stay the original course of trading him for picks/players and then also stadium jerseys, yay or nay? I'll bring those up after you guys answer this. It's very interesting because for a team that's so above expectations on where they are, they still have guys to sell off. What do you do at the deadline?
Well, it's
Don't fall for it.
well. So we're speaking from experience as Leaf fans because the very obvious choice was like, all right, let's trade Tyler Bozak, let's trade JVR, and let's trade this guy.
And we can restock the system and we'll still make the playoffs and it'll be great.
And
They didn't.
yeah, so the Blue Jackets are better. They're ahead of schedule. It's a really interesting spot to be in because it's not unfortunate, but it is confusing. Provorov just seems like business they want to do anyway.
I don't get the sense that either side wants that to continue.
And that's fine.
Yeah,
So
like you could just go your different direction.
business that's going to get done anyway, you should do it. Trade Provorov.
Also, he's a puck-moving defenseman at the deadline.
yeah, you'll
What
get
did we just talk about the Leafs needing?
you'll get more value from trading him than keeping him.
Yeah.
Is my bet. You can also replace him by taking some assets and replacing him. The Blue Jackets are interesting. Like, if you want to get like a depth veteran, I think that's okay. But with such a young team, I think I'd rather you go into the playoffs. Like, if they earn a playoff spot, I think you let them test their mettle in the playoffs and see what they're made of.
I think it's a house money team.
Yeah.
You do sell Provorov and you sell a couple other veterans if there are good deals out there.
Yeah.
Don't do the Kyle Dubas, we didn't meet our price, so we'd rather get nothing and then let them walk for free. Stupid. Don't do that. Go and sell these pieces. Let the young guys take you to the playoffs and go, guys, this is about being young and silly and not even knowing. Like, this is your one no pressure playoff run.
Yeah. Do you want to take do you want to take burden off of Adam Fantilli or say go nuts?
That's what it is, right? If you go and you trade for pieces, now you've put burden on these guys this year. If you let them make the playoffs or miss this year, the burden starts in September 2025. And the burden will, for these guys in this group, forever be there. Mm-hmm. This is the one run you get that you're like, there's no pressure, house money, have fun. That is why you have to do, as a management group, the responsible thing, sell, use those assets, and maybe that asset, so let's say Provorov's worth a first, right? A low first. Maybe you don't care about the low first because that player is not going to be available for you for 5 years. Maybe you take that low first and you save it for the next deadline when you want to deal it for the next thing, right? That set yourself up for the next trade deadline when you will want to add if you're in the position you're in, right?
Here, let me get a goalie.
Get a goalie.
That's my main feedback for the Blue
You don't like
Jackets.
Elvis?
Elvis is good. I don't like the other guy.
There's got to be goalies available too.
The Columbus Blue Jackets currently sit in the first wildcard spot. They have 53 points. The Senators are in the second wildcard spot with 52. The Montreal Canadiens are tied, but lose on the tiebreaker. Regulation wins to the Senators, also with 52 points. The Boston Bruins also have 52 points and lose on an even deeper tiebreaker
Bruins
to
are
the
tumbling
Canadiens and
down.
Senators. So, with the Columbus Blue Jackets sitting right there, does it send the wrong message if you enact your plan, Adam, in selling everybody to a team? If, let's say, they hold this position and at the deadline and they're still really good and they're in that first wild card spot, and you get rid of all the guys who brought you to that point.
Well, I think the guys that brought you there are Zach Werenski, Kirill Marchenko, Kent Johnson, Adam Fantilli. You're not trading those guys. Those are your guys. I think if you're Columbus, you can still add. As Steve rightly points out, you can get veteran defensemen, or you can get your Brian Boyle Leafs in 2017, right, for a third or a second or whatever they dealt at the trade deadline. You can do that, but sell your big pieces because it's not about this year. And this is where managers get paid their money. You get paid to make trades and set direction. You really get paid to sell players on a vision. And I think these guys are smart. I think they've had enough bad years in Columbus outside of the Johnny Gaudreau tragedy to know, okay, we're on the upswing here, and these guys are trying to make sure that when we're really on the upswing here, when we're challenging for division titles, when the expectation is we go beyond the first and second round, that we have the assets to do it. And you can point to, fairly or unfairly, teams that didn't. The Leafs could be one of them. You could be like, see, they didn't have the assets to do it.
Right.
Like, if you got any issues, let's have a whole private conversation about it. Your job, Don Waddell, and I have a feeling he's good at this. He's been doing this a while. Sell them on the vision. You've got Carolina. You just walked off the ship in Carolina, and they've had a great run for a decade. Guys, I'm trying to build a franchise that gives you a chance every year.
But
the way to do that is to do this, and you'll be fine.
There are some players in that locker room who have never had a management group tell them credibly, we believe in you.
But you are saying we believe in you, which is why you're reinforcing for the next few years, we believe in you this much.
Athletes, I don't think like that.
I think they can. I think you're not giving them enough credit. I understand that they might be disappointed, but I would also say to them, guys, listen, it is a business. We got to set ourselves up for success in the long term. Do you want it to be just this year and go in, or do you want it to be sustained for the next 5?
I got a direct example. Let's
give it to me.
Let's situation this, because they don't have an overabundance in UFAs who they can send out the door and everything. Provorov's the big one, but they do have a guy like JVR who they signed for $900,000, came on PTO. He's been playing okay. Let's say
scored last night.
Let's say a team like the Hurricanes come to you and say, "Hey, we want JVR for winger depth. We're going to play him on our fourth line, whatever. We'll give you a middling round draft pick or a prospect for him."
They don't care about that. Columbus doesn't want that.
Keep him.
You keep him.
You keep JVR.
Okay.
And also, I think Friedge even pointed out that Columbus is not interested in that in his 32 thoughts.
Okay, so that's, to me, rewarding the guys.
Yeah.
That's you're sticking around with the people who got you there.
I also
'Cause
think-
if you're last in the standings, you could sell off a JVR for a fifth.
Unless someone is willing to give me literally a first for Matthew Olivier, like I'm not even kidding. I'm extending him and keeping him.
Sean
What do they have on-
Corrali?
What do they have on defense? Can I just see?
yeah,
They've
like-
got a good, strong defense.
We keeping Corrali,
So
and Fabro.
Good. Branson has barely played this year. He's injured.
I don't think you get anything special for any of these guys.
No. And so Provorov is your big sell. Sell him. Everybody else you just keep.
Yeah, even though like he's been a piece that's gotten them into the first wildcard spot.
I think Zach Werenski is that piece. I think you can.
I think
Ivan Provorov is a left-shooting 28-year-old defenseman who can move the puck. You don't move him in division, right? When you say the Carolina Hurricanes, I'm like, well, we might play them in the first round, so no.
I think you replace Provorov with another rental guy.
Morgan
Don't they have
Riley.
a good system too?
They do, and like I'm just looking Denton Matejchuk. That's why you get the rental guy, and then next year it's like, all right, kid, go nuts.
And and that's like the Leafs rolled into the first round against the Washington Capitals. Who was on their defense? It was like Rielly, Zaitsev, Gardner.
Riley,
Well, we said Rielly.
Riley, Zaitsev, Gardner,
Carrick.
Marincin, Connor Carrick, Martin Marincin, and was it Ron Hainsey? No,
Matt Hunwick.
And Roman Polak. Holy shit.
Hey guys, House Money. It's the House Money series.
And that was the series Polak broke his leg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, poor guy. Yeah. So
Wow.
No, do the jerseys and we can end it.
yeah, let's do it.
Let me just pull this up. All right. Greg Wyszynski
Oh, I love that.
last week wrote a story about the story behind the Blue Jackets and Red Wings Stadium Series jerseys after the NHL released them. Here is the Blue Jackets one.
That's primo, man. That's
Yeah.
cool.
For
Do you want to describe it for anybody
It's a
listening?
cannon. It's an 18th century cannon. It's supposed to be like Civil War. I think it's very cool, especially because that's what Columbus is known for.
Very subtle. The A on Werenski's jersey, is that an outline of Ohio?
Yeah.
I would guess so.
I would guess so. I don't know what Ohio's shape is.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a real...
Steve, what are you giving this out of 10? Out of 10 cannons, what are you giving it?
I'm going to give the jersey 8 cannons out of 10. I give the toque 9. That's a nice toque.
They could do better with the stripe at the bottom, I think.
I like the
We could've
star
done
on the
more.
pants.
Star on the pants is great.
Yeah, it's a
stripe
good
on the
little touch.
bottom,
Yeah.
for some reason, isn't doing it for me. The rest of it's pretty good.
I like that they didn't go too busy around the cannon too. They just made it the cannon, but I just think you could have moved that gray silver stripe. You could have moved that up a little bit, and I put the red underneath it and maybe a red above it. So you have the silver in the middle, red above, red below.
How many cannons are you giving it?
Oh, that's a 10 cannon out of 10.
What?
I love
you
it.
You had complaints.
I listen. You can always make it better. Okay, 9.5.
Here.
What? No, you literally can't when it's 10
9.5.
out of 10.
9.5. Then I love it. I think it's great. Good for
How
them.
dare you?
All right, Red Wings.
Here, one last
Here's some
question.
details.
Oh, I
Yeah.
like the. Oh, that's cool.
The CBJ with the hockey sticks. Love that. Love that.
So that's the shoulder patch.
Yep.
Final question from the press conference. The Blue Jackets have an outdoor game this year?
Yeah, the Stadium Series game at the stadium in Ohio, right?
Gun to my head. Steve, you have 30 seconds to answer this correctly or you die. Couldn't. Oh, it's Detroit.
Yeah. Yeah, I said
thank
we're
you.
doing the Detroit jersey.
I had no idea.
So this is the Detroit.
Absolutely no idea.
I've seen these. These are great. I actually like this.
These are the Detroit ones in
So
the
much better than last
Stadium Series game they're playing against the Blue
Yo, the
Jackets.
best
No
part
idea.
about the Red Wings, dude, is going to be the thing that Jesse shows you next.
What? Oh, yeah.
This is amazing.
That,
That's not even what I'm talking about.
Oh, what are you talking about? The helmet. Yeah, the helmet has the wing. Actually, they don't have the. You can't
Why don't
see
they
it.
have that?
Ah, Greg.
All right, you know what? You know who's
I'll pull
got
it
it?
up.
Fanatics has got it on their Instagram.
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
Wait till you see this helmet. I'm not even going to tell you.
Okay.
It's so sick. I'm like, more teams need to be doing this. You remember when Vegas came out with the glittery gold helmets and everyone's like, this is stupid. And then everybody's like, actually, it's pretty cool.
Someone was saying the Leafs, when they wear their black jerseys, should have matte helmets, which I totally agree with.
I agree with that too. I like
Yeah.
that.
I
I like that a lot.
Those can look really good.
All right, here's a better look at the jerseys with the helmet.
How freaking unbelievably hard does that
So
go?
they're playing the game at where Ohio State plays football.
Yeah.
So Detroit went with a kind of a football theme for their helmet. They have a stripe down the middle, like old school football helmets, and they threw on the logo on the helmets, just like how football helmets have
These
it.
should just be their
Gorgeous.
full-time helmets.
Yes.
Gorgeous.
And I love that Detroit jersey. I really do. I do wish, I do want to get away from just putting the city on the jersey because it's lazy, but I do still like it. It is it's fucking.
He's right.
Okay, what do you give it at a 10? What should we? Octopuses.
If the helmet was just red, this would be a 7 out of 10. But because of the helmet, I'm upgrading to 8.5.
8.5 octopi.
Octopi.
Yeah.
Purple octopi.
The jersey, I think, gets an 8.5. I think that's very fair. The helmet gets 40.
40 out of 10. It's the greatest helmet in hockey history.
It's a lot of tentacles.
Like I literally like for a player helmet, non-goalie, because goalie helmets are special.
Yeah.
Non-goalie, that's the best helmet in the history of the game, right?
Why doesn't the NHL do this?
I think they will after this. There's going to be this is copycat league, right? They're going to do this. They're going to.
It's
Especially
so
you got
cool.
wings.
It's
You
just-
look like Super Mario.
It's just the Dominik Hasek helmet. This is what he had, except for not the stripe in the middle. But that's just Dominik Hasek's helmet.
True. Looks great.
God, that's sexy.
They did a great job. Hey, you know what's great? It's not the bumblebee like black and red and stripe all the way down like Chicago and Detroit and everybody else has done the last few years. This looks good. They took a step forward with design rather than going, let's go retro, let's go 30s.
At some point, someone in the NHL head office was like, not everything outside needs to be old.
Yeah.
There's still an outside. There's still an outside. There used to be an outside. There's still an outside. We can be new outside.
Yeah.
You nailed it, because every Winter Classic game, they do the same thing. They're like, okay, so this jersey is going to look like it's from 1932. And they're going to wear, guess this, brown.
What? Wait a second. It says classic in the title. Let's put the Seattle Kraken in the game and ask what their jersey would have looked like in 1960. Remember the reverse retro shit that they did?
Let's harken back to a nostalgia no one connects with anymore.
Right.
How many people do you know have seen people play a real game in brown pants and gloves and
The over 60
and
crowd's
retro
going,
uniforms
Steven,
don't
how
count?
dare you?
What?
The over 60 crowd's going, Steven, how dare you? But
Cool.
everybody else,
There's
you're right.
not nearly as many of you as there are under 60.
Like if you pull up a shot of Wayne Gretzky, okay, who played 40 years ago, from that era, okay, he did not have gloves that color. He had Oilers colored
Yes.
gloves. Like the brown pants went away, I think, at the end of the 60s.
What are we doing, man?
Yeah, nobody's alive. Well, but this is the problem when you have a league run by 75-year-olds. That's retro to them,
Yeah.
right? That's when they were kids. Dude, Gretzky predates us.
Yeah, we were born the year Gretzky was traded to the Kings. Jesse was not alive.
Jesse was alive the year he went to the finals.
The whole Oilers front office is upset at you guys because that's those people.
I don't care.
Yeah. Listen, it wouldn't be the first time, and it won't be the last that the Oilers front office is upset with us. But yeah. Yeah, man. I love it.
So there's
I
an
love it.
outdoor game coming up on March 1st at Ohio Stadium.
That's going to be cool.
Columbus, Ohio, Detroit versus Columbus. And we got the ones next year already penciled in there. Boston, Tampa, as well as the Florida one, which isn't on the chart on Wikipedia. But yeah, outdoor game coming
Love
up
it.
March 1st. It'd be a shame. It'd be a real shame if Fanatics sent those jerseys as well. to us.
Man, that'd be
That would
so bummed.
suck.
That'd be so
I hate to have
bummed.
that as well as the Blackhawks one. Though.
I certainly wouldn't do a full video going through the whole thing.
that'd be awful.
No, it'd be terrible.
Oh, that'd be so bad.
Oh, no.
And a helmet.
They don't make the helmet.
They send a replica
care.
helmet?
I don't care.
I'm sure Fanatics can make it.
Come on. Oh,
Come on.
no, they couldn't make that happen.
No.
They're not cool enough. No way.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.